Chapter 1467. The whirlpool around Tianyun was the largest. It was a size larger than the others, and the absorption speed was much faster. In the blink of an eye, a large portion of the golden energy around him was drained by him, and it gradually returned to the state of ordinary water. Originally, this golden pool came from the golden pool eye below. After absorbing the energy within, it would naturally return to the color of ordinary water. Tianyun's absorption speed was not only amazing, but the key was that the effect was even more amazing. It was 3 times as much as the others. As a result, his body began to strengthen rapidly. His body was covered with layers of thin golden leaves, and he really looked like a golden man. The effect is okay. Tianyun felt that the effect was okay, but it was definitely not of a very high level. It could only be considered average. His physique was too strong. After so many bloodline enhancements, the effect of this golden liquid was naturally quite reduced. Fortunately, there was a 3 times increase. Otherwise, the effect would really be negligible. As for the other heavenly venerables, the effect was also relatively limited, but it was better than nothing. For their cultivation base, it was extremely difficult to increase a little. Unless their physique was relatively weak, the effect was relatively average. To them, it was a very good effect to be able to increase a little. Anyway, this was not theirs. Even if it could only increase a little, it was already a good effect. Immediately after, Tianyun continued to absorb crazily. The surrounding whirlpools became stronger and stronger. Gradually, the golden liquid of this golden god pool began to be rapidly absorbed. If this continued, all the energy of this golden god pool would be absorbed completely. Not too much time passed. In the short span of a day, this amazing golden god pool was sucked dry just like that. There was not a bit of golden liquid left. What was left was a pool of ordinary water. Gone. Tianyun opened his eyes. The golden color on his body gradually faded, and he returned to his original color. The situation did not seem to be a big problem. The key was that the energy in his body had been slightly strengthened. The other heavenly venerables opened their eyes one after another, all with a look of longing. No matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. They naturally felt that they would not think it was too little. Little junior brother, you're absorbing too quickly. You're much faster than us. I reckon that more than half of the golden divinity pool's energy was absorbed by you. Heavenly Venerable Sword C laughed. It's all right. Tianyun scratched his head in embarrassment. He did absorb the energy the fastest and fiercest. Hurry up and dig up the golden lake eye below. When the time comes, let junior brother take it back and choose a place in his own force, then set it up. When the time comes, it will also form a golden divine pool. As a place to nurture disciples, it's pretty good. It can definitely nurture even stronger geniuses. Celestial Venerable Sword C suggested from the side, signaling Tianyun to go down and dig it up. This thing was not a one-time thing. As long as one dug it out and buried it in a good place, it would be the same as this place after some time. This is a little embarrassing. Tianyun looked at the golden pool eye at the bottom of the pool. It indeed looked like a huge eye buried in the bottom of the pool. Those who did not know much about it did look rather horrifying. It was like a huge eye looking at them from the bottom of the pool. How could they not feel horrified? According to the level of the treasure, this was at least a celestial venerable level treasure. Its grade was naturally not too low. What's there to be embarrassed about? If little junior brother hadn't brought us in first, we definitely wouldn't be fated with this place. Moreover, he could obtain so many treasures. Needless to say, I've never experienced such an easy way to obtain treasures. The entire ruin seems to belong to me. Celestial Venerable Sword C laughed. In the past, when they encountered a ruin, they would first kill their way in among groups of cultivators and then continuously rush forward, racing against time. It was so that they could snatch the treasures first. However, most of the treasures were snatched by others first, and they did not even get to drink the soup. It was different now. They could swagger in and pick any treasure they wanted. They did not have to worry about being snatched at all. The only thing they were worried about was encountering various traps or encountering guardians. That's right. Don't be polite with us. When we want to absorb it, we'll look for you. Celestial Venerable Force smiled knowingly at the side. Alright, I won't be pretentious. Then I'll take it back first. When the time comes, senior brothers and senior sisters, and the disciples under me can look for me again if they need it. Yi Tianyun naturally would not be polite. This thing was quite good. It could speed up the cultivation of the disciples of the three realms. He would never think that he had too little of such things. Immediately, Yi Tianyun swam to the bottom and began to dig out the golden pool eye. As it was covered with a large array, it was slightly more difficult to dig it out. Fortunately, with the help of other senior brothers, it was soon easily dug out. After digging it out, he threw it into his inventory and swam up. It's about time. There's no way out here. Return to the outermost area and wait for the seal to break before continuing in, Celestial Venerable Force said. They nodded and flew to the passage outside to wait. The location they chose was the safest and most stable area. When the seal broke, the entire ruin would change. They did not wait long. Very soon, the barrier outside finally shattered into countless pieces with a cracking sound. Boom! As soon as the barrier broke, a terrifying wave of energy rushed out from the hall. Like a thick beam of light, it blasted towards the void outside. Some powerhouses did not dodge in time and were immediately affected by this beam of light. They were completely turned into nothingness. They did not even have the chance to scream before they died. They were far away, but the direction of the attack just happened to be aimed at them. They could only blame their bad luck. The situation inside the ruin also fluctuated wildly, wreaking havoc in all directions. Whether it was the ground or the walls, they were constantly bombarded with deep marks. The entire ruin shook violently, as if it was about to collapse. This was the result of the energy being compressed for too long. After the seal was broken, it poured out in torrents. It looked very exaggerated. Inside the passageway, they formed a thick shield to protect themselves. This wave of impact also spread over. Fortunately, the strongest force was outside the passage at the entrance. The other passages were weaker, and with their ability to withstand it, there was no problem. This wave of impact lasted for several hours before it finally stopped. Go! Chapter 1468. Yi Tianyun and the others quickly rushed towards the Dragon Sovereign Temple, and the rest of the cultivators who were rushing towards the Dragon Sovereign Temple were like a group of carps crossing the river. It's all mine. All the treasures are mine. Get lost. All the treasures are mine. A bunch of idiots. Your cultivation is so weak, yet you still want to snatch the treasures. Get lost. When they rushed in, they immediately started fighting each other madly for the sake of fighting for more treasures. Some of the stronger ones rushed in as fast as they could. After coming in, they looked at a random place and rushed in. So far, it was important not to cause any fights. There was no point in fighting without getting the treasures. But some people just bumped into each other and started fighting, not giving way to each other. Such idiots weren't rare, and there were quite a lot of them. Soon, everyone rushed into the other passages. After searching through the rooms, they were all dumbfounded. What's going on? There's nothing here. There's nothing here either. It's empty, what's going on? Why is there a pool here? Could it be some special pool? Damn it! It's just ordinary water. There's no effect at all, and it's a little disgusting to drink. After rushing in, they found that the room was empty. There wasn't even a single strand of hair left. As for the pool, there was no energy at all. It was just an ordinary pool. Everyone was disappointed. He thought he would find a lot of treasures, but in the end, it was all for naught. There was nothing. They felt that they had been tricked, thinking that there was nothing in the ruins. How could they even talk about treasure hunting? Most of the cultivators felt that they had been tricked after rushing in. Not to mention that they could get treasures, at least others could get treasures. Who knew that there was nothing here? At the same time, Yi Tianyun and the rest quickly went in. There were many intersecting entrances, like a maze. But this wasn't a problem for Yi Tianyun. He had the blueprint of the Dragon's sovereign shrine, so he could go wherever he wanted. This way. Yi Tianyun signaled them to follow him as they ran deeper into the dragon-revered temple. The treasure was definitely in the deepest part of the temple, so it couldn't be in the outer regions. Heavenly Sovereign Li and the others didn't think too much about it. They all followed Yi Tianyun and rushed inside. As Yi Tianyun circled around, he finally arrived at the inner area. There were many passageways in this area, but they were all tightly locked. If one wanted to pass through, they would either have to destroy the door or break the restriction. The doors here are all locked. It's even more disgusting than meeting the guards. Heavenly Lord Sword C and the others frowned. If they encountered the guards, they could still fight, but if the gate was sealed, they would need to find a way to open it. There are quite a number of open passageways here. Why don't we look over there? Heavenly Venerate Dragon Cry suggested. It's hard to say from there. If we go in from here, we can reach the innermost part. When Yi Tianyun sensed everyone's astonished gazes, he took out the blueprint of the Dragon's sovereign shrine. It was something that could be taken out and was similar to a map. This is what I found before. Although it didn't mark anything, at least we know how to get to the innermost part. The real treasures should be in the innermost part. You don't have any objections, right? After spreading it out, they were shocked. They didn't expect Yi Tianyun to have such a thing. Indeed. I didn't expect junior brother to be able to find such a thing. No wonder you led the way for us. Heavenly Sovereign Sword C smiled in surprise. He didn't expect to find such a thing. However, they didn't suspect anything. After all, it couldn't have been drawn by Yi Tianyun himself, could it? The passageway on the side is probably the key to opening the door. Correspondingly, there might be danger. From this, I can see that the area is more complicated and there might be many guards. Sure enough, it's dangerous. Treasures aren't that easy to obtain. Yi Tianyun looked at the blueprint. There were many passageways on both sides, and it wasn't just one. There were a total of 3 doors in front of him, and there was a groove on them. This meant that something had to be embedded in them to open the door. Without a doubt, the danger inside wouldn't be low. The closer they got, the more dangerous it would be. There were so many guards outside, so how could there not be any inside? Looks like we have to look for the key again. How troublesome. Can't these ruins open all the doors? Heavenly Sovereign Sword C felt helpless. This was simply a trap. Don't you lock up your treasures? Heavenly Sovereign Dragon Cry retorted from the side. Heavenly Sovereign Sword C immediately stopped talking. Even in his territory, some treasures would be locked up, so it wouldn't be easy to find them. Actually, the most important thing is whether or not the key will be taken away. Yi Tianyun felt that this was the key. These grooves were all embedded with things. If the key was taken away, how could he continue? She could only stand outside and stare blankly. This is really possible, but we can only look for it now. Even if we can't enter, it would be good to plunder some treasures. Heavenly Sovereign Force said solemnly, as usual, we will split into 2 groups and go to different areas to search. If there is a problem, quickly escape, don't force it. No problem. Heavenly Sovereign Yu Qian nodded and immediately led Heavenly Sovereign Sword C and the others to one of the passageways. Yi Tianyun and Heavenly Sovereign Force also went to the other passageway. But when they rushed into the passageway, Yi Tianyun immediately felt himself pass through a wave of ripples, and then Heavenly Sovereign Force beside him disappeared. It's an isolated space. Yi Tianyun quickly turned and walked back, but he found that it was already too late. He was completely separated from heavenly sovereign force, and he couldn't touch him. This kind of restriction was relatively common, and some weak points could be broken. At least, the one in front of him couldn't be broken. It was an extremely profound restriction that required at least a 6th or 7th grade divine inscriber to break, and it would take a long time. Tianyun's grade wasn't at that level, so he naturally couldn't break it easily. It was useless to walk back now. It was equivalent to entering a trap, so how could he get out? Unless he broke this trap, there was no way to get out. I didn't expect to be tricked, and no one knew. Tianyun frowned. He couldn't see any problems from the outside, but he could only sense it after entering. He had to say that this dragon sovereign temple had some skills. It seems that we can only take one step at a time and see what the situation is here. Tianyun didn't panic. Before entering, he had already prepared for any accidents. Chapter 1469. After Tianyun came in, he directly walked forward. He could only go forward. If he went back, he would have to take a detour. He wanted to see through the situation here, but he couldn't easily do so. His grade was a bit too low. Unless he raised his divine carving master grade to the 6th or 7th grade level. After circling around, Tianyun immediately felt a sense of crisis in front of him, causing him to frown. He feared that if he continued forward, he would encounter danger. He wasn't worried about a battle, but he was in the opponent's advantageous position. This wasn't something that could be solved easily. After thinking about it for a moment, he decided to raise his divine carving master level. Raise divine carving master grade. Ding! Successfully deduct proficiency. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully raising the divine carving master grade to 4th grade. Ding! Successfully deduct proficiency. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully raising the divine carving master grade to 7th grade. Tianyun's proficiency had been completely used up. There was basically nothing left. Even his sin value had been ruthlessly thrown in. After the previous system upgrade, whether it was proficiency or sin value, they could be converted to each other. Under the conversion, he could barely raise the divine carving master grade to 7th grade. This required far too many proficiency points, it was simply exploding. Towards the end, he needed tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of proficiency points. It was simply a fraud. Even after accumulating so many proficiency points, it still wasn't enough to fill his teeth. He had to use up all of his sin value in order to raise it to 7th grade. I've finally advanced to 7th grade, Tianyun let out a deep breath. When he looked up, he was immediately stunned. He discovered that his soul strength had jumped to the Empyrean level. Moreover, it was at the middle Empyrean level. This leap was truly amazing. It had to be known that his soul strength was at most at the Divine Lord level before. But in the blink of an eye, it had risen to the middle Empyrean level. Without a doubt, soul strength was linked to the Divine Carving Master grade. The higher the grade, the higher the soul strength. This meant that if he continued to level up, the strength of his soul would increase along with it. This kind of leveling up was really too easy. It was as if it was free. I never thought that advancing to a divine inscription master would have such an effect. It's really beyond my expectations. Tianyun shook his head, he felt that this was really unexpected, and it was far beyond his expectations. In the past, he didn't have such a strong feeling. But now that he had become a divine engraving master, his feeling had risen. His cultivation hadn't even broken through to the Empyrean realm, yet his soul strength had already risen to the Empyrean realm. This was really a little funny. Then let me see the true face of this place. Tianyun's eyes flickered as he activated his third eye. A talent like the heavenly eye would improve along with the strength of one's soul. Basically, it was an exceptional divine skill. He didn't even need to cultivate it to be able to display greater strength. After releasing it, the surrounding divine seal patterns immediately appeared in front of him. Every detail was clearly displayed, including the trap formation in front of them. This was because after advancing his soul strength, he could easily use the third eye to investigate. If it were in the past, he wouldn't have been able to easily see through it. Even if he were blind, he still wouldn't have been able to see through it. If it were so easy to see through it, then it wouldn't have been an ancient Empyrean ruin. As long as it was an intruder, it would be killed without hesitation. These ruins were originally different from those ruins that were used to select legacy disciples. This was originally the territory of others. If a disciple didn't belong here, they would naturally be killed. Thus, if one went to the ruins to search for treasures, they would face the danger of death. So that's how it is, its senior apprentice brother Li Tian. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. He saw that Empyrean Li Tian was being controlled by a large array formation. The surrounding array formations were wildly attacking him, leaving him no place to hide. It seemed that Empyrean Li Tian had been attacked for a long time. His body was already covered with cuts and bruises. It was unknown how many times he had been attacked. If this continued, Empyrean Li Tian would definitely be exhausted. This place was filled with attack arrays. All intruders would be separated, as if they had entered a different space. In such a situation, a fierce attack would not feel good no matter what. Damn it, I don't believe that I can't break it. Empyrean Li Tian roared. He swung his fists and punched the array formation in front of him. He punched out fiercely again and again, wanting to forcefully destroy this formation. Heavenly Venerate Mighty Sky didn't know any divine seals, nor did he know any grand arrays. He just relied on his brute strength to attack the grand array. If this continued, he would definitely be able to break the array formation. However, after he broke the array formation, there would be even more arrays waiting for him. This meant that if he continued, he would definitely be attacked repeatedly. It would be difficult for him to advance, and he might even die here. It had to be said that he had only just entered, and the dangers here were already exposed. This was much more dangerous than the outside world. Looks like I have to save him. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. He knew that Empyrean Li Tian could still hold on and break the array formation. However, that would be a waste of time. He would also be attacked continuously. It wasn't worth it. He had to end the battle quickly here. He definitely couldn't drag things out. His figure flickered and disappeared from the void. He entered the space where Empyrean Li Tian was. This situation was just like in the 10,000 Divine Pagoda. He could easily enter other spaces. However, the array formation here was much more sophisticated than the 10,000 Divine Pagoda. Therefore, he couldn't use the power of the void to enter from the beginning. It was like a locked door. The power of the void was like a key. Because the lock was too complicated, he couldn't open it. However, things were different now. After the advancement of the Divine Carver Master, he had become a more advanced Master Key that could penetrate the void. He easily entered the void where Empyrean Li Tian was and appeared next to him. He hurriedly said, "Big senior brother, grab me." Li Tian Heavenly Venerate turned his head and saw Yi Tianyun reaching out to him. Without hesitation, Li Tian Heavenly Venerate grabbed Yi Tianyun and dragged him into the void. After entering the void, he was brought into another space. Naturally, there were no arrays here, so Empyrean Li Tian could rest. Little junior brother, it's really all thanks to you. Otherwise, I would have been severely injured if I had really broken through that formation. The heavenly paragon force wiped off the cold sweat on his forehead. This was just the beginning, and he was already in such a sorry state. It seems like this area isn't safe. We can only gather and move together, Yi Tianyun said. Chapter 1470. Among the 5 of them, there was basically no one who had any achievements in the field of divine carving masters. The highest level was only at the 2nd or 3rd grade. 2nd or 3rd grade divine carving masters were useless here. Therefore, it was better to gather together and move. This was a bit of a waste of time, but moving steadily was the key. Heavenly Venerate Li agreed with Yi Tianyun. Who would have thought that things would be so complicated here? They could only look for them honestly. It was best to move together. Then, under Yi Tianyun's lead, they quickly chased after Heavenly Venerate Sword C and the others. As Yi Tianyun's ability had improved, it wasn't a problem for him to bring people out of here. After leaving here, they rushed to the other passage without stopping. The other passage was exactly the same as the one Yi Tianyun and the others had encountered before. It was also a strange array. Yi Tianyun had just come in and immediately saw Heavenly Venerate Sword C and the others being besieged. Heavenly Venerate Sword C was on the verge of death. Several parts of his body had been cut off, and one of his arms had been broken off. He was still constantly dodging, using his last bit of effort to avoid these attacks. It wasn't that Heavenly Venerate Sword C was too weak, but the array here was too abnormal. It was simply fatal. The main reason was that the territory was theirs. If there were too many arrays, the result would be the death of the invaders. Senior brother Sword C is in trouble. Yi Tianyun quickly passed through the void. Before Heavenly Venerate Sword C could react, he was dragged into the void by Yi Tianyun. Then, he used the voodoo wood divine set to quickly heal him. Many thanks. After saying these words, Heavenly Venerate Sword C fainted in Heavenly Venerate Li's arms, which showed how serious the consumption was. As long as the soul in the head wasn't destroyed, he wouldn't die. However, the body was constantly injured, which would still have a great impact. Senior brother Li Tian, wait here. I'll go save senior brother Dragon Cry. Yi Tianyun once again went to another space to save Heavenly Venerate Dragon Cry. Heavenly Venerate Dragon Cry's situation was much better. His recovery was amazing, and he could still persist under the fierce attacks. But if they continued like this, they wouldn't be able to pass through too many areas. Only Heavenly Venerate Yu Qian was able to make it to the next great array. Furthermore, it seemed like he was about to break it. It seemed like Heavenly Venerate Yu Qian was still much stronger. From this, it could be seen that this was a place that only upper Empyreans could survive. It would be difficult for other cultivators to survive here. Yi Tianyun was relying on his amazing divine inscription master skills to not be injured. Soon, Yi Tianyun dragged Heavenly Venerate Yu Qian back and started treating them. I didn't expect that we wouldn't even be able to make it through here. It's just too difficult. One by one, they shook their heads and smiled bitterly. They had been to some ruins before, and the difficulty was either not as high as this one, or they had walked through ruins that others had explored before, so the danger was not as high. This was just the beginning, and they were already unable to attack. It was really embarrassing. It should be said that they were a little depressed. They thought that their strength was not bad, but when they came here, they realized that the gap between them was too big. They could not enter at all. Yi Tianyun also had a deep understanding of the situation here. That was, this place was just too formidable. The territory of an ancient Empyrean really could not be compared to the present. Logically speaking, the further one went, the stronger it should be. He did not expect that an ancient-level great array would win, and a complete victory at that. No wonder so many powerhouses would come over when these ancient ruins opened. These things far surpassed the current level. For such a situation to occur, Yi Tianyun guessed that it was related to the materials. The current rare materials, compared to the previous world, could be found all over the streets. Thus, the great array formations or weapons that were refined far surpassed the current level. Because the materials for the current weapons and great array formations were insufficient, they could only choose to replace other materials to refine. This caused the effects to decline. It was not that the current level was inferior to the past, but that the materials were far inferior to the past. With the passage of time, it was normal for materials to become increasingly scarce. Wasn't the war that erupted in the divine realm in the past for the sake of seizing resources and materials? In the aspect of a divine inscription master, I still have some attainments. I shouldn't have any problems passing through here. Why don't you enter my inner world and wait until I need to fight, then I'll let you out. How about this? Tianyun asked. Generally speaking, letting others enter one's inner world was quite dangerous. If there was internal damage, then the impact on him would be very serious. Similarly, if Tianyun was attacked, then he would die together with them. No problem, it's decided. Without thinking too much, they chose to enter Tianyun's inner world. They had all witnessed Tianyun's ability just now. If it weren't for Tianyun's help, they would still be trapped inside, constantly fighting against those great array formations. Tianyun nodded and quickly summoned them into his inner world, which was the planet at the core of the 5 elements. After entering, they didn't feel anything wrong. In fact, the core of the 5 elements was equivalent to the balanced world outside. They couldn't sense anything wrong. Thus, they didn't feel anything was wrong. Rather, they felt comfortable and natural. After receiving them into his inner world, Tianyun quickly moved forwards, avoiding the great array formations along the way. If he encountered one that he couldn't avoid, he would enter the void or break the array formation. Thus, there wasn't the least bit of pressure along the way. A 7th grade divine inscription master couldn't say that they could walk unhindered outside, but they could at least relax here. Soon, after breaking through the array formations, they finally passed through the long corridor and arrived at the great hall outside. It's really abnormal. There are 7 or 8 great array formations along the way. How can I even play? Tianyun was a bit speechless. Even if it was to resist intruders, was there a need to be so abnormal? If he had judged wrongly, then his own people would have died in these great array formations. It was obvious that the master of this place was extremely suspicious and worried that someone would invade. Who knew that they would still die here? If they died outside, then wouldn't their efforts be in vain? Just as he was about to relax, a stiff voice suddenly sounded out in front of him, "Intruders, die." The 5 puppets rushed towards Tianyun's side. It's really a wave after wave of trouble. Damn it, if I encounter this fellow's corpse I will ruthlessly crush it. Tianyun clenched his teeth. He released Empyrean Yuqian and the others so that they could participate in the battle together. Chapter 1471. Tianyun and Heavenly Venerate Yuqian and the others quickly got rid of this batch of puppet statues and obtained a pile of rare materials. However, they had used up quite a lot of resources. They had only been able to kill these puppet statues after putting their lives on the line. Each one was harder than the last, and their cultivation was not low either. It was already not bad that they could deal with them. At the same time, he obtained a key crystal stone called Golden Pyroxene. Golden Pyroxene? Could it be a stone placed in the groove outside? Tianyun narrowed his eyes. He did not expect to obtain such a rare key after killing these puppets. Of course, it was another matter. At least for now, it seemed like it was a key. It's finally over. Let's continue. Tianyun heaved a sigh of relief. After resting for a while, he took Heavenly Venerate Yuqian and the others back into his inner world and continued running forward. He had thought that there would be some dangerous area ahead. Who knew that he would arrive at a treasure trove? This is an elixir room. Tianyun glanced around and saw that many of the medicine bottles on the shelves had fallen all over the ground. Many of them had already fallen and turned into piles of mud. If the elixirs were stored in elixir bottles, they might be able to last longer. However, after they fell out, the energy contained in them would dissipate. Over time, they would turn into mud without any energy. Tianyun glanced around casually and finally fixed his eyes on the groove in the center area. There was nothing there. There was no key in this area, just a pile of elixirs. Logically speaking, the key should be in the groove. However, it was not here. Did this mean that they had made a wasted trip? The key was indeed taken away. Who would be so stupid as to leave the key here? Tianyun shook his head. Then, he took out the golden pyroxene and inserted it into the groove. As soon as it was inserted, the groove immediately emitted a faint golden light. Then, the door began to open slowly, revealing the scene inside, a large area of elixirs. There were fields of spiritual medicines here, all of them planted at the side. This was especially the case for the entire piece of land, which was a rare treasure. The seemingly ordinary soil was actually the new sea mud, a special kind of soil that could allow spirit herbs to grow faster. When Yi Tianyun released Heavenly Venerate Yuqian, they were all shocked. He didn't expect that there would be such a complete herb garden here. This was somewhat unexpected. However, there was one thing that made them feel that it was a pity. The spirit herbs here had all withered and were basically no different from weeds. This place had been left unattended for too long, so it naturally became dilapidated. If it wasn't watered often, it would wither. This place was different from the golden spirit pool, which could nurture other spirit medicines. Using the liquid from the golden spirit pool to water this place would not have an obvious effect, and it might even kill the spirit medicines here. Not all spirit herbs could absorb the golden pool liquid. It seems that they didn't expect to encounter the war of the divine realm. At that time, these medicinal herbs probably hadn't matured yet. These batches of medicinal herbs were all at least 10,000 years old. What a pity, they've all been destroyed and have no effect at all. When Heavenly Venerate Li and the others saw the environment, they immediately knew that this was a herb garden. But the spirit herbs in this herb garden had all withered and were no different from weeds. When they were stuffed into their mouths, there was no effect at all. Moreover, they didn't even taste good. That's right, what a pity. These are all rare spirit herbs and their ages are also quite good. It's just a pity that they've all withered. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to restore them to their original state. Even if we wanted to restore them, it would be impossible. Even if we had such an ability, these are all at least 10,000 years old. How could we restore them? They all shook their heads, feeling that it was a great pity to watch so many spirit herbs disappear right in front of their eyes. Restoration ability. Yi Tianyun's eyes brightened. He recalled the treasure, Tsuetsue, that he had obtained before. It was a treasure that could revitalize spirit herbs. It was just that Tsuetsue's ability was too weak and it was too difficult to revitalize it. Unless its grade was greatly increased, that would be a different story. Let's take it first. Yi Tianyun didn't stand on ceremony. In a single breath, he swept up the entire patch of land and threw it into his inner world. The herb garden in front of him immediately became barren, with nothing left. Little junior brother, what do you want this pile of weeds for? When they saw Yi Tianyun's actions, they were very shocked. They didn't know what Yi Tianyun was going to do with it. There was no effect when they ate it, and it wouldn't return to its original state even if they planted it. Restoring vitality, of course. However, I have to find a way. I don't know if it will work, but I'll give it a try. Yi Tianyun didn't know if Tsuetsue could be restored, but he would give it a try first. Actually, it's not a bad choice to restore it. It's just that the price is probably a little high. Little junior brother, you have to take it easy. You have to see the price clearly. Heavenly Lord Sword Judge and the others all knew that there was a way to revitalize it, but the price was extremely high. For example, if the price of restoring one spirit herb was equivalent to 2 spirit herbs, it was clearly not worth it. That's for sure. I can't be reckless, right? I'm a region lord. I know the trade-offs, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. I almost forgot. If you become a region lord, you have to know how to be even more careful. Heavenly Lord Sword Judge and the others smiled, then shifted their gazes to the side. There are no more treasures to find here. Looks like we can only go. Yi Tianyun nodded. This was the end. Although there were other miscellaneous rooms, he didn't have any interest in searching. The main thing was that there definitely wouldn't be any good treasures in that area. Finding the key was the most important thing. Then they once again entered Yi Tianyun's inner world. Yi Tianyun went straight to the initial area. He wanted to use the golden pyroxene in his hand to open one of the doors. When he came to the area of the 3 doors, he was instantly startled. In front of him was a group of cultivators. There was no lack of acquaintances. This acquaintance was none other than Feng Qiuzun. He didn't expect that Feng Qiuzun would also come here. It was really a little unexpected. Surrounding Feng Qiuzun were 2 great forces that Yi Tianyun loathed. They were the supporters of the Myriad Heaven Divine Realm and the Sacred Peak Divine Realm. They had also sent people over. The names of their forces in the 4th grade Divine Realm were also called like this. It could be said that they had the same name. Actually, this would show that the forces below belonged to them. It would let the other Divine Realms know who it belonged to, and they wouldn't act recklessly. This was meaningless to Yi Tianyun. He would crush them all the same. Chapter 1472. Miss Feng Qiu, this is a 10,000-year-old coral. If it is made into jewelry, not only will it be beautiful, it will also help your cultivation. What is a 10,000-year-old coral? This is a 10,000-year-old sacred wood. If I use it to make a bed, I can even cultivate while sleeping. The top genius Empyreans of the 2 forces stared at each other. Their cultivation was at the upper level Empyrean level, they were very young, and their bloodlines were not weak. But compared to Feng Qiu, they were still lacking. Empyrean Feng Qiu was the true genius. Compared to them, they paled in comparison. What was being compared here was not cultivation, but bone age. Feng Qiu's bone age was only 1,000 years old, they were tens of thousands of years old. In comparison, they were at the level of ancestors. Feng Qiu frowned, gesturing with her hand. Empyrean Tong Wu, Empyrean Wuxing, I appreciate your good intentions. Now I have matters to attend to, please move aside. Feng Qiu motioned for them not to block in front of her. The 2 Empyreans could only stand to the side, anger in their eyes. They did not expect that they would not accept their good intentions, it was equivalent to not giving them face. Even so, they did not dare to act rashly. Their cultivation was not only lower than Feng Qiu, the key was Feng Qiu's reputation. Who would dare to make a move against her? So many experts had come in and were all watching. If they acted rashly, something bad would happen. Feng Qiu then came to one of the doors, taking out a white stone, she placed it into the groove. Following that, a ray of light appeared, covering the door in white light, but the door did not open, but was tightly shut, without any movement. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed, he did not expect Feng Qiu to have one of the keys, she must have obtained it from outside, and seeing that the ruins were opened, she came to open it. A treasure that even Feng Qiu came to take, it was definitely not simple, it was either not bad, or it had something to do with Feng Qiu. Of course, these were all Yi Tianyun's guesses. From the side, the keys were indeed not here, they could all be outside, or there could be only one inside. No matter what, at least Feng Qiu had one in her hands. No reaction. Venerable Feng Qiu frowned, looking at the other 2 grooves. Without a doubt, the other 2 grooves had to be filled at the same time before it could be officially opened. Yi Tianyun was also taken aback. He had thought that only one piece was needed to open the corresponding door. Now, it seemed that he had thought too much. He needed 3 keys at once to open all of them. Miss Feng Qiu, the Dragon Supreme ruins can't be opened with just a key. According to what we know, 3 keys are needed to open it. At that moment, Emperor Tunggu walked over with a smile, fiddling with the information he knew. These 3 keys have long been lost outside. During the Divine Realm War, they were all in the hands of Empyrean Dragon Fate's disciples. But, they all died outside. To obtain a key is indeed a great lucky chance. I didn't expect Miss Feng Qiu to have a key in her possession. However, coincidentally, I also have a key here. Emperor Tunggu took out a key from his chest. This stone was also emitting a faint golden light, quite conspicuous. Venerable Feng Qiu's eyes brightened. She didn't expect that Emperor Tunggu would have a key in his hands. Emperor Tunggu, I didn't expect you to have a key. Venerable Feng Qiu was pleasantly surprised. Of course I do. You have a key, I have a key, doesn't that mean we are fated? Emperor Tangwu smiled. After this matter is over, how about Miss Feng Qiu come to my faction? We can sit down and have a good chat to improve our relationship. Despicable, shameless. This scene fell into everyone's eyes, and they immediately felt shameless. But she had a key, and they didn't. Wasn't this the best proof? Especially Emperor Tangwu, his face darkened. He didn't have a key. Just as Heavenly Venerable Tangwu had said, the 3 keys had all been lost outside. It was already very good to have 2 of them, let alone 3. Now there are only 2 keys, aren't we still unable to open the door? Emperor Wuxing walked over and retorted. He didn't want to see Emperor Tangwu be so arrogant. We can't open the door, but who knows if a 3rd key will appear in the future. The treasures in the revered dragon ruins are quite good. I heard that Empyrean Dragon Fortune's strongest treasure is inside. He didn't take it out during the Divine Realm battle. Empyrean Tangwu smiled. Besides, I can give this key to Miss Feng Qiu. When Miss Feng Qiu collects the 3rd key, won't she be able to open it? Of course, as long as Miss Feng Qiu comes to our Divine Realm as a guest, we will give this key to her with both hands. Such despicable methods made the others feel very unhappy. But there was nothing they could do. This thing was so effective. The 3 keys were so precious, to give one away was really generous. Venerable Feng Qiu's gaze turned cold. She directly refused. Sorry, I cannot agree to this request. Venerable Feng Qiu was not moved by this. Instead, she straightforwardly refused. After Emperor Tangwu was rejected, his face darkened. He didn't think that this Emperor Feng Qiu wouldn't even give him this little bit of face. She was really too insensible. Miss Feng Qiu, you're not even willing to agree to this little request. This is a key, not an ordinary treasure. I'm only inviting you to be a guest. I won't do anything to you. Emperor Tangwu said solemnly. Sorry, I still cannot agree. Venerable Feng Qiu wasn't a fool. How could she not know the other party's intentions? If she agreed, she definitely wouldn't be able to come out easily when she went to that force. Not to mention anything else, the price of this key was at least equivalent to an Empyrean-level treasure. But in Venerable Feng Qiu's view, this business wasn't worth it at all. If she opened this door, it wasn't just her who could enter, but it was open from all directions. Anyone could enter. In the end, who would lose the most? Without a doubt, it would be her. Immediately, she took out another key and inserted it into another notch. She said solemnly, Emperor Tangwu, whether or not you want to open it now is up to you. This time, everyone was stunned. They didn't think that Venerable Feng Qiu would have another key. Now, all 3 keys were gathered. As long as Emperor Tangwu pushed it forward, the door here would open. At this time, Yi Tianyun, who was at the side, looked at the key in his inventory and shook his head. Logically speaking, there should only be 3 keys. Adding the one he had, it was equivalent to the 4th key. It was a bit of an exception. Chapter 1473. Venerable Feng Qiu gave the choice to Emperor Tangwu, indicating for him to quickly choose whether to open the door or not. If he didn't open it, then no one could open it. The gazes of the others immediately gathered on Emperor Tangwu. Whether they could eat and drink well and find top treasures depended on Emperor Tangwu's choice. Miss Feng Qiu, this is even better. As long as you agree to be a guest, I will immediately hand over the key with both hands. It is very simple for you to be a guest of our force, we will absolutely not make things difficult for you. If not, then I am very sorry, I can only choose to leave. Emperor Tangwu was not anxious at all. The key was in his hands, would it fly away? As long as he did not agree, this door would never open. As for forcefully snatching it, he had brought many experts, even if they fought, they could not lose. Those who could come to this area were not ordinary people, they were at least middle-level Empyrean level or above. As long as there were no treasures to fight over, they wouldn't fight. But now there was something, but they did not dare to casually snatch it. Venerable Feng Qiu's expression was ugly. She did not expect Emperor Tong Wu to do this. If he really left, there was really nothing she could do. This meant that she had to find Emperor Tong Wu before he would choose to give it to her. Beside her, Emperor Tong Xing was very unhappy. Could there be a way? Emperor Tong Wu had something that Venerable Feng Qiu was interested in, but he did not have it. Just as she was thinking about something, Yi Tianyun stood up and said with a faint smile, "Venerable Feng Qiu, long time no see." When Venerable Feng Qiu looked over, she was a little surprised, then smiled slightly. "Yes, long time no see, I did not expect to see you here." With this greeting, the others all looked over, and upon a closer look, they found that it was a divine lord. This was a little unbelievable. Everyone here was at the Empyrean level. How could a divine lord sneak in? Strange, a divine lord has the ability to come here. So many of us have come in, many places have been opened up, there is no more danger. It is not surprising that he could sneak in. The key is that he seems to be familiar with Venerable Feng Qiu. The people around started guessing. They were very curious about Yi Tianyun's identity. Emperor Tong Wu and the others frowned. Emperor Feng Qiu's attitude towards Yi Tianyun was quite good. This made them feel extremely unhappy, but they could not casually attack Yi Tianyun, who knew what kind of relationship the two of them had. If they were good friends, then if they killed Yi Tianyun, Feng Qiu's impression of them would definitely be extremely bad. Yes, I did not expect to see Emperor Feng Qiu here. Yi Tianyun smiled and said, "Speaking of which, Emperor Feng Qiu is still missing a key." "Yes, we still lack a key." Venerable Feng Qiu shook her head at the thought of Emperor Tong Wu not wanting to give the key. "Don't worry. It just so happens that I have a key here. Let's see if we can open it," Yi Tianyun said with a smile. "Bullshit." Celestial Lord Tungwu sized him up and said in a deep voice, "You have a key on you? If yours is a key, then what is mine? A fake key, it's that simple." Yi Tianyun took out the key and directly handed it to Emperor Feng Qiu, saying, "Try it, see if it has any effect." When Yi Tianyun took out the golden pyroxene, everyone's eyes lit up. It really was exactly the same, there was no difference between the two. You really have this key?" "No, yours is the fake one. My key was found in the corpse of one of Emperor Long Yun's disciples, it definitely can't be fake." Emperor Tong Wu said sternly. His key was indeed a real key, and not a fake one. But there was no other way, he just happened to meet Yi Tianyun, this strange person, both of them were real keys. But after Yi Tianyun said it, the meaning was different. "Is that so? Try it and you'll know." Yi Tianyun indicated for Emperor Feng Qiu to embed it. "I said it's fake, so it's fake, you'll know in a while." Emperor Tong Wu was very confident, he was sure that what he had was real, so he didn't have any worries. He just wanted to see Yi Tianyun fail, and then he would lose face. "Many thanks." Emperor Feng Qiu took the key. Actually she was a little doubtful whether it was real or fake, but no matter if it was real or fake, wouldn't she know after trying it? Then she picked up the key and embed it. Just as it was embedded, the three doors suddenly emitted a dazzling light, and the god seals on them quickly lit up. Then there was a rumbling sound, and the doors really opened. The group was dumbfounded, and at the same time as the doors opened, they all turned their gazes to Emperor Tong Wu, their faces strange. Now that the doors were opened, it meant that the key in Emperor Tong Wu's hands was fake, and not the real thing. "No, impossible. This key of mine is absolutely real. It can't be fake." Emperor Tong Wu shouted, his face livid. How could he have a fake? This was something he personally found and then took out, how could it be fake? Fake is fake, what else is there to say? Now that the doors are open, what's the point of talking nonsense? Emperor Tong Xing, who was beside him, took the opportunity to sneer. Using a fake to deceive Miss Feng Qiu, how sinister. If it wasn't for this little brother, you really would have succeeded. You. Emperor Tong Wu's eyes were red as he stared at Yi Tianyun, having the urge to kill him. How did you get it? Where did you get it? I picked this up. Yi Tianyun said casually, is there a problem? Impossible. There should be only one of this thing. Emperor Tong Wu's face alternated between green and white, feeling like he was going crazy. So many people were looking over here, and it really made him feel very embarrassed. But the truth was in front of him, and no one would believe his nonsense. The doors are open, the doors are open. At this time, the doors finally opened completely, and slowly opened to the side. A wave of air rolled out from inside, turning into 3 golden lights that shrouded them. This wave of air made them feel a little depressed, as if there was some special treasure inside. Emperor Tianyun, I wonder if we can go together. Emperor Feng Qiu smiled at Yi Tianyun. If it wasn't for Yi Tianyun, they really would have fallen into the trap. She didn't expect Emperor Tong Wu to be such a sinister villain, deceiving her. If she agreed to this key, wouldn't she fall into the trap? Chapter 1474. Of course, Yi Tianyun was not afraid of the threat from the 10,000 Heaven Divine Realm or the Sacred Peak Divine Realm. However, even if they didn't come to find trouble with him, he would still find trouble with them. After all, when the celestial realm of the 3 realms first arrived, they immediately sent people to besiege them. If it weren't for the protection of the barrier, it would have been flattened by the 2 god realms. Under such circumstances, how could he let these people go? Even if Emperor Wise Star hadn't acted against him, he would have acted against them when he had the chance. These were all experience points. If he killed them one by one, breaking through to the Empyrean realm would be no problem at all. Now that he was about to be targeted by Heavenly Venerable Tongwu, how could he possibly let him off when he suddenly appeared and ruined Heavenly Venerable Tongwu's plans? It was just that Feng Qiu Zun was at the side, otherwise he would have made a move long ago. On the side, Emperor Wise Star was gloating, feeling that this was very funny. This was the effect he wanted. He had originally thought that he would lose, but now it seemed that not only did Celestial Venerable Tongwu not gain anything, but he had also dug a deep pit for himself and jumped into it. However, everyone's attention was focused on the 3 doors in front of them. No one knew which one to choose. In their opinion, the 3 doors could lead to death, or they could lead to treasures. For the sake of safety, most people did not choose to act. Instead, they waited for the first person to eat the crab. It would undoubtedly be much safer to let them be the vanguard and the rest follow behind. From their point of view, even if they were the first to eat the crab, wouldn't it be fine to snatch it later? These people were the 2 great heavenly venerables of the Sacred Peak Celestial Realm and the Myriad Heaven Celestial Realm. They were not anxious at all, and were just waiting outside. They had the advantage in numbers, so no one could snatch resources from them. What, you're not going in? Empyrean Fertile Star shot a glance at the Empyrean beside him. Those Empyreans retreated one after another, similarly not daring to enter casually. The door seemed to be open, but who would dare to casually enter? At that time, it would be a matter of life and death. They did not want to lose their lives here. They still had a lot of things they wanted to do. I'll enter. At this time, there was an Empyrean who was very bold and took the lead to charge in. They felt that this was their only chance to turn things around. If he could get his hands on some top-notch treasures, he would be able to turn things around, especially some of the more special treasures. Following that, a group of people rushed in uniformly. With someone taking the lead, others immediately followed. Empyrean Walker and the others were very satisfied with this situation. This was the effect they wanted. Divine Lord Tianyun, this way. Venerable Feng Qiu stepped forward and chose one of the doors. Miss Feng Qiu, why are you in such a hurry? Wouldn't it be better to let the group in front explore the path first? It will be much safer this way. I'm sure you've sensed it along the way. There are many dangerous places, and it's easy to fall into danger. Empyrean Star's expression changed when he saw this. Empyrean Tungwu similarly wanted to persuade, but he had long lost all face. How could he still say it? Now, this opportunity had been snatched away by Empyrean Wise Star. I'm very sorry. I'm not the kind of person who is afraid of death. Feng Qiuzun said indifferently, especially the door here, I was the one who opened it, naturally it was opened by me personally. After saying this, Feng Qiuzun brought Yi Tianyun to one of the doors and quickly disappeared in the light. Empyrean Star's gaze turned cold as he said hatefully, really stubborn. These women are so stubborn. If not for your reputation and talent, I wouldn't even bother with you. Empyrean Star was very unhappy. Beside him, Empyrean Tungwu sneered and quickly followed. He didn't choose any other path. He just followed Yi Tianyun. Without a doubt, he was heading towards Yi Tianyun's side, or towards Venerable Feng Qiu's side. Do all of you want to die? Empyrean Star frowned and immediately walked forward. Let's go. In the end, he still chose to walk the same path as Venerable Feng Qiu. No matter what, it depended on the opportunity. Who knows, he might be able to save the damsel in distress. What they fancied was Venerable Feng Qiu's reputation. It was similar to what Yi Tianyun fancied. It was this saintess-like reputation. If she could join their forces, it would definitely be greatly improved. But Venerable Feng Qiu did not want to join anyone. Even her savior was not willing to join. Yi Tianyun and Venerable Feng Qiu chose this path. They were the first batch. The people before them all chose the other two paths. The main reason was that Venerable Feng Qiu chose this path. They did not fight with her. Empyrean Feng Qiu, you chose this path. Is there any information? Yi Tianyun saw that Venerable Feng Qiu did not even think before choosing this path. He was slightly puzzled. There is no information. It's completely a random guess. Venerable Feng Qiu smiled. A smile filled with friendliness greeted him. It really had the effect of purifying one's soul. A random guess. Yi Tianyun shrugged helplessly. But you were able to get 2 keys. You must be fated with this place. I really did not know that Venerable Feng Qiu would be interested in this place. I thought that you would not care about anything. You only know how to walk around and save those who are in trouble. Venerable Feng Qiu was silent. She did not say anything. To Yi Tianyun, it was a tacit admission that she was interested in this place. And she came with a purpose. Seems like I was right. I believe that there is something you want in here. Or perhaps, you really have some relationship with the owner of this place. Yi Tianyun squinted at her and said. I do have some relationship. But compared to that, this place is more dangerous. I hope that Divine Lord Tianyun will follow me and not wander around. I can at least ensure your safety. It can be considered a form of repayment to you. As for how many opportunities you can obtain here, that will depend on your own luck. Venerable Feng Qiu did not reveal everything. She did not know Yi Tianyun well. It was normal that she did not confess everything. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed. From these words, he could tell that Venerable Feng Qiu really knew the way. She even knew how to go. How could it be like what she said, that it was a blind guess? In fact, Yi Tianyun also knows how to go about this. From the blueprint he obtained before, this is the right way to go. There was only one path that could lead to the innermost space. The other 2 paths were not wrong. There were still some treasures to speak of. Chapter 1475. Yi Tianyun's cultivation was only at the Divine Monarch's 7th level, and had not changed much, causing Feng Qiuzun to think that he was only at the Divine Monarch level. He did not even have the cultivation of an Empyrean, and still came here alone. He was really bold. So she took up the responsibility of protecting him. After all, Yi Tianyun had saved her before. Although she had asked for payment, but to her, it was not enough to completely repay this kindness. After entering, there was still a long walkway inside, and the surroundings did not change much. But there was light coming from all directions, and it looked very strange. Even the ground was constantly emitting light, and it looked a little strange. A blue light flashed in Etienne's eyes, and the scene in front of him appeared in front of him. There were small hidden formations everywhere, and they were very well hidden. If not for his grade increasing, he really would not have been able to see them. These small formations were really too well hidden, even some divine engraver of a high grade might not be able to discover them. As for the power, Etienne probed a little, and they were all killing formations. If one really stepped on them, they could be seriously injured, or even die. He did not expect that there would be so many dangerous formations here. If those people thought that after opening, it would be safe inside, then they were too naive. There was a large formation set up everywhere, as if it was specially set up to exterminate all intruders. Follow my footsteps, you cannot make a single mistake, or else even I cannot save you. Feng Qiuzun's expression was serious, and she put away that amiable smile from before, and walked step by step inside. Obviously she knew how dangerous it was inside, and even if she was familiar with this place, she had to be careful, or else she would not even know how she died. I know. Etienne responded. He didn't point it out. Wherever there was a formation or something, he just followed along. He wanted to see where Feng Qiuzun would bring him, or perhaps he wanted to see how Feng Qiuzun's character was. When Feng Qiuzun's loyalty to him did not reach 100, she might betray him. Maybe later on, when she encountered danger, or some special treasure, she might kill him. After all, his cultivation was only at the divine monarch level. To her, it was just a matter of one move. An upper-level Empyrean and a divine lord. The difference between them didn't need to be imagined. Immediately, Feng Qiuzun slowed down her pace, walked forward step by step. Etienne also followed step by step. These steps all happened to land in the gaps of the numerous formations. There was only one gap in each area. Just from this, one could tell that Feng Qiuzun was familiar with the environment here, if not she would not be able to find the way so easily. Venerable Feng Qiu, it seems like you are very familiar with this place. Etienne followed behind, and at the same time, he started to talk leisurely. He was naturally not afraid of going the wrong way. Feng Qiuzun might be afraid of going the wrong way, but he was not. His heaven eye was always open, so he could see everything that was going on. Although he knew that Empyrean Feng Qiu would not harm him, but he had to be careful. Who knew if Empyrean Feng Qiu had forgotten? If they triggered the array here, they would really be finished. Don't speak. Feng Qiuzun's expression was still very serious, looking around to prevent herself from going the wrong way. Etienne saw how serious Feng Qiuzun was, and could only obediently shut his mouth. It seemed like Feng Qiuzun knew the path, but she was not familiar with it, at least not the type that she walked often. Otherwise, Feng Qiuzun would definitely walk forward casually, and not carefully step by step. At this time, Empyrean Tong Wu and the rest caught up, and just as they came up, they saw that Etienne and the rest were already far ahead. At the same time, their figures were somewhat hazy, and they could not see the situation under their feet. This was all because of the light emitted, causing them to be unable to clearly see Feng Qiuzun's footsteps, in case they knew where to go. Chase after them. Empyrean Tong Wu signaled for his subordinates to go first. One of the lower-level Empyreans looked around, and then tentatively walked forward. Just as he stepped into the passage, countless rays of light pierced through, directly turning this lower-level Empyrean into a sieve. Come back. Empyrean Tong Wu was shocked, and quickly hooked his subordinate back, but this lower-level Empyrean was already on the verge of death. His whole body was covered in dense wounds, looking terrible, and it was unknown how many times his soul had been pierced. Damn it, it's all attack arrays in front, how does that woman know how to go? Empyrean Tong Wu looked at his subordinate, feeling very angry, and quickly signaled his other subordinates to heal him. No matter what, he was a Empyrean, as long as he was not dead, he could not be wasted. Empyrean Tongwu, thank you for trying, otherwise we really wouldn't know that the power of the array here is so strong. Speaking of which, if there was no problem with your key, I believe that Empyrean Feng Qiu would definitely bring you in. Now, TSK, what a pity. At this time, Empyrean Tongwu also came up, and when he saw the Empyrean on Empyrean Tongwu's side was injured, he felt very refreshed, and couldn't wait for Etianerian Tongwu's side to be destroyed. I'll say it again, my key is not fake. As for how that kid got the key, I don't know either. Maybe it's an extra key that came out. Empyrean Tongwu explained coldly. No need to explain to me, want to explain to Empyrean Feng Qiu, but now, she definitely won't believe you. Empyrean Tongwu came to the front here, sized it up carefully, and said coolly, don't say anything else, cooperate for the time being, how about it? Cooperate? How to cooperate? Empyrean Tongwu looked at him coldly and said. Very simple, we came this time for nothing more than to obtain the treasures here. But I can tell that you're a little more interested in that kid and Empyrean Feng Qiu. Let's make a deal, you want the people, I want all the treasures, how about it? Empyrean Tong Xing got up and said coolly after inspecting this place. Coveting all the treasures, your appetite is really big enough. Do you think that I don't know what you're eyeing? Empyrean Tongwu said in a cold voice, Dragon Sovereign Temple's most precious, apart from a pile of Empyrean-level treasures, there's also the bloodline of an ancient Empyrean. The bloodline of an ancient Empyrean is the most important, do you take me for a fool? Ancient Empyrean bloodline, is it? Then I'll give you a small share, how about it? One has to know, the grand array here isn't that easy to crack. We just happen to have the corresponding divine inscription master on our side and can break through bit by bit. Otherwise, don't even think about going in. Empyrean Tong Xing suggested, you're merely paying more attention to Empyrean Feng Qiu. At that time, just forcefully possess her will do. I feel that compared to the ancient Empyrean bloodline, it's much more precious. Empyrean Tongwu's eyes narrowed, seemingly a little moved. Can't I wait here for her to come out? Empyrean Tongwu said in a cold voice. Then why don't you give it a try? I don't believe that there's only one exit here. If it's too late, they'll run. Empyrean Tong Xing said fiercely. Okay, cooperate. Empyrean Tongwu said in a cold voice, at that time, I want that kid's life, and also that Empyrean Feng Qiu's life, to make her completely submit to me. Chapter 1476. The two great forces once again came to an agreement. After weighing the pros and cons, both sides immediately knew what to do. The two forces both had their own needs, their thoughts and goals were different, so naturally it was easy to work together. For example, Empyrean Tongwu paid more attention to Venerable Feng Qiu, he also wanted the treasure, but from the looks of it, it was not so easy to obtain. Empyrean Huaxing was interested in Venerable Feng Qiu, but not as interested as Empyrean Tongwu, so he could choose to give up. In his view, obtaining the treasure was the most important thing, everything else was superficial. They immediately began to research where the gap was, and how to successfully pass through here. Not only did Empyrean Huaxing have a divine carving master, in fact Empyrean Tongwu also had a divine carving master, and with the two working together, it would undoubtedly speed up the search. In a short while, they immediately found the correct route, and followed them step by step, chasing towards the area that Yi Tianyun and the others were heading towards. As they painstakingly caught up step by step, Yi Tianyun and Empyrean Feng Qiu had already passed more than half the distance, and there was still a small half that they had not passed. Along the way, Venerable Feng Qiu's forehead was covered in cold sweat, evidently from nervousness. After all, the power of the great formation here was not weak, and even an upper-level Empyrean like her could not easily resist it. The main thing was that one wrong step could easily lead to many mistakes, so she absolutely could not make a single mistake. Because she was too focused, it caused her mental strength to be severely exhausted, and her forehead was covered in sweat. In contrast, Yi Tianyun was relaxed, without any sense of nervousness. The next step should be here. Venerable Feng Qiu stepped to the side, and behind her, Yi Tianyun's expression changed, and he hurriedly wanted to call out to her, but it was already too late. Venerable Feng Qiu stepped, but the place she stepped on was naturally not the right place, but the wrong place. Xiu xiu xiu. Countless beams of light continuously shot out from the walls, and even the ground, piercing towards her. She was startled, and just as she was about to resist, a large hand suddenly wrapped around her waist and pulled her back at an extremely fast speed. Peng peng peng. The beams of light kept hitting the walls before disappearing. They did not affect the surroundings at all. At the same time, they did not affect the area where Yi Tianyun was. This place was divided according to region, so there wouldn't be a situation where triggering a large formation would lead to danger everywhere. If that was really the case, he would have to start all over again after taking one wrong step. Feng Qiu Zun, you were almost beaten into a sieve. Yi Tianyun put her down. If he had not been faster, Feng Qiu Zun would have been turned into a sieve. Even though her cultivation wasn't bad and she could block quite a few attacks, she would still suffer some injuries. Thank you. Feng Qiu Zun's face turned red. She did not think that she would remember wrongly. She had thought that she would be the one protecting Yi Tianyun, but now it seemed that Yi Tianyun was the one helping her. It doesn't matter. Where do we go now? Yi Tianyun pointed ahead. This. I forgot. Feng Qiu Zun thought for a moment, then shook her head. What? You forgot? Yi Tianyun was stunned. He did not think that Feng Qiu Zun would forget. In a situation where she did not remember clearly, she still dared to come here. I really don't remember much about this. I came here a long time ago. I only remember a bit. I don't remember much now. Feng Qiu Zun blushed, feeling very embarrassed. That means, starting from here, you don't remember much? Yi Tianyun pointed at the passage in front and asked. No, I don't remember much of it. For example, I don't remember much of the place in front. I only remember a bit of the place in front. Feng Qiu Zun shook her head. You've been here before. Looks like you really have been here before. You really do have some relationship with the owner of this place. Yi Tianyun smiled. As expected, as they advanced, she exposed more and more things. Didn't I say it before? I do have some relationship. Feng Qiu Zun's gaze turned to the formation in front and she frowned. The key is how to break this place, that is the key. In terms of formations, I'm not very familiar. Do we have to try again and again? If we try again and again, it will take at least a few months to finish. Yi Tianyun rolled his eyes at her. He had thought she was a strong teammate, who knew she was a trap. The area in front of them was not big, but there were so many places, only one was correct, so it would take a long time to try. This time might be longer, or it might be shorter. But now, we can only try like this. Feng Qiu Zun sighed. How about this? Let me try and see how my luck is. Yi Tianyun pointed to the front. Try your luck. Feng Qiu Zun was taken aback, then shook her head. That's not reliable. If I try, it's fine, but if you try, you'll be easily injured. Alright, I'll let you try. I'll explain. How about it? Yi Tianyun smiled. No problem, it's all trying anyway. Feng Qiu Zun nodded. She was not a divine engraver, so she naturally did not know how to go in this area. She could only try. Then let's start from here. Yi Tianyun pointed to an empty space in front, indicating for her to jump there. Okay. Feng Qiu Zun prepared everything, quickly summoning 2 Empyrean spirit treasures to protect her body, as if she was facing a great enemy. Then she lifted her foot and stepped forward, landing on the ground in front of her. When she was prepared to be attacked, she found that nothing happened, which meant she had walked to the right place. No, nothing. Feng Qiu Zun was shocked. She did not expect to succeed on the first try. She turned her head, her beautiful eyes filled with shock. Looks like your luck is not bad, you succeeded on the first try. Yi Tianyun said with a smile. This luck is indeed not bad. Feng Qiuzun did not know what to say. Succeeding on the first try made her feel that it was inconceivable. She originally had the thought of trying many times, but who knew that she would succeed on the first try? This was something she had not expected. Didn't I say that my luck is not bad? Yi Tianyun smiled as he stepped over, looking ahead. Do you have an impression of what's ahead? I have a little impression, I'll continue to lead the way. Feng Qiuzun did not think too much, she really thought that Yi Tianyun's luck was heaven-defying, that was why he succeeded on the first try. Then she continued to lead the way a few more times, but her memory became blurry again, and she forgot the road ahead. You forgot again? Yi Tianyun was speechless. Yes, I forgot a little, the memories from when I was young are not very deep. Feng Qiuzun said awkwardly. Then let's continue trying, I think we'll go over there. Yi Tianyun pointed to the area in front. Feng Qiuzun lifted her foot, there was still no problem, one step was right. Feng Qiuzun was shocked again, and said to Yi Tianyun, you're right again. Chapter 1477. If he guessed it the first time, then forget it. If his luck was good, he could guess it the first time. But now that he guessed it the second time, she was horrified. But looking up and down at Yi Tianyun, she couldn't see any flaws. She felt that Yi Tianyun shouldn't be a divine carving master. Even if he was, he couldn't find a flaw in it in such a short time. If that was the case, then wasn't it too amazing? The grade had to be at least 6th or 7th grade. Yi Tianyun's cultivation was only at the divine monarch level. In her opinion, he couldn't be a high-level divine carving master. So there was only one possibility, and that was that his luck defied the heavens. He really guessed it right. It wasn't that there weren't such people. There really were cultivators with heaven-defying luck who could guess it right easily. Your luck is really amazing. You are the luckiest cultivator I've ever seen. Feng Qiuzun shook her head, if not for you, I would have spent a lot of time here and it would have been very difficult to reach the end. It's fine, just a bit of luck. If not for Feng Qiuzun bringing me here, I probably wouldn't have made it here. Yi Tianyun smiled. Feng Qiuzun nodded, feeling that it was true. If one could continue defying the heavens, this wasn't just luck, it was simply knowing the right path. Occasionally being right once or twice was understandable, but if it was always right, how could it be luck? I should still remember the path behind. Let's continue. Feng Qiuzun continued to lead Yi Tianyun forward. Her memory was fragmented and it was already not bad that she could remember most of it. Even without Yi Tianyun leading the way, she could try it bit by bit without any problems. She just needed to spend a bit more time. With her ability, there wasn't much pressure on her to protect herself, she just needed to spend a bit more time. Feng Qiuzun finally led him step by step on the right path. The impression towards the back would probably be deeper so that it would be smoother and smoother. But when he was young, it was normal not to remember much. It wasn't like now, his memory was amazing. If he wanted to remember something, there wasn't any pressure at all. As Feng Qiuzun was leading the way, they passed through easily, and finally Yi Tianyun saw an exit ahead, he could finally leave this damned place. The exit is just ahead. Venerable Feng Qiu's eyes lit up, even if she could remember it later, she could not guarantee that it was correct, so her nerves were still stretched taut. When she saw the exit, she could finally heave a sigh of relief. It had been a dangerous journey. After passing through several large formations, he stepped out of the gate and finally exited through it. Yi Tianyun also took a step forward and walked out of the tunnel. What appeared in front of him was not a treasure vault, but a huge golden tree. The golden tree grew there, its thick branches and leaves spreading out in all directions, enveloping the huge temple. Golden tree, when Yi Tianyun raised his eyes and saw this giant tree, he was shocked. The gigantic golden tree covered the entire area, but that wasn't the main point. It wasn't strange for a special area to have a giant tree. What was shocking was that this giant tree was a divine tree. Golden tree, middle-level Empyrean level cultivation, the golden leaves on its body could be used to refine weapons or pills. Its golden tree sap could even be used to strengthen the physique. In an emergency, it could turn into countless sharp blades and reap the lives of others. It was a tree demon, its strength was shocking. Tree demon. The golden tree in front of him was actually a tree demon. Tree demons weren't anything special, the main point was that this was a middle-level Empyrean tree demon, its strength was powerful, it could definitely kill millions of enemies. Just as he entered, Yi Tianyun immediately felt that he was locked on, a killing intent surrounded him from all directions, and at the same time, the branches in all directions started to tremble, preparing to fight at any time. Little Gold, don't be nervous, it's me. At this time, Empyrean Feng Qiu called out softly, indicating that the golden tree shouldn't be nervous. Little Gold. When Yi Tianyun heard this, he felt like vomiting blood, she actually called him Little Gold. But thinking about it, she had said that she had come to this area before, that she was young and immature, calling him Little Gold was not a problem. With Empyrean Feng Qiu's shout, the golden tree really didn't have any killing intent, and immediately shook twice at her, as if expressing its happiness. At the same time, a few branches from the side wrapped around her. Empyrean Feng Qiu did not refuse, she reached out to grab the branch, gently comforting it, smiling slightly, a warm aura pervading the place. This golden tree couldn't speak, even if it broke through to Empyrean level, some still couldn't speak. But it could clearly express its meaning, and at the same time, it could transmit energy and information, it was no different from being able to speak. Now that the branches wrapped around her, it was actually talking to Empyrean Feng Qiu. I know, it's been hard on you all these years, it's always been hard on you. This time, I came here to bring you away, uncle has already left, there's no meaning in staying here. Empyrean Feng Qiu lightly touched the branch, her face full of worry. Rustle, the branches made rustling sounds, as if they were crying, golden leaves continuously fell, turning into balls of golden flames, as if they were worshipping something. Yi Tianyun watched from the side, he could feel the sorrow that pervaded the hall. From this simple conversation, he already understood that the master of the Dragon Sovereign Shrine was related to Empyrean Feng Qiu. No wonder she was familiar with this place, how could she not know her uncle's shrine? After a long time, they finally finished their simple reminiscing. Under Empyrean Feng Qiu's wave, the enormous golden tree quickly shrunk, turning into an extremely small tree, and then jumped over, landing on Empyrean Feng Qiu's palm. This made Yi Tianyun feel very envious, he had taken in an Empyrean just like that, and it was a spirit medicine type Empyrean. Her entire body was a treasure, if he could get his hands on her, it would greatly strengthen the Three Realms God domain. If I can recruit this little girl into my sect, won't they all be mine? Yi Tianyun's gaze flashed, but Empyrean Feng Qiu was really hard to swallow, two great god domains were not willing to recruit her, he did not know what conditions he had to offer to swallow her. I almost forgot, these are for you, they will be of great help. At this time, Empyrean Feng Qiu came to Yi Tianyun's side, taking down a dozen golden leaves and handing them to him, as the saying goes, everyone who sees it has a share. But what he got was the leaves, Empyrean Feng Qiu got the golden tree. Chapter 1478. The golden tree was a good thing, if Yi Tianyun came in alone to suppress it, he should be able to suppress it, but it might be difficult. The conditions here were too good for it, if it was used, it would be equivalent to dealing with the entire revered dragon ancient ruins, the difficulty would not be small. When they wanted to continue forward, the golden tree in Feng Qiu Zun's embrace suddenly trembled violently. Then it jumped to the side, rooted to the ground, and started to grow rapidly. When it was almost the height of a person, it started to emit a dazzling golden light. This is a breakthrough. Yi Tianyun discovered that the golden tree had started to frantically absorb the energy around it, the great formation on the ground started to flicker, and were all activated by it. An endless stream of energy was gathered by the Great Formation, and then gathered here. The entire hall started to shake. It meant that the Great Formation here was really strong, but it was just a simple energy-gathering Great Formation. If the golden tree was stationed here, it would really be able to continuously absorb energy to replenish its own consumption. In battle, it would definitely be the strongest guard. This kind of plant-type life form had astonishing life force. As long as it had enough energy, it could recover at an astonishing rate. But now it was breaking through. Tianyun guessed that it might have met Feng Qiuzun, and obtained some enlightenment, and broke through to a higher level. Previously, its cultivation was at the middle-level Sky Sovereign level. When it broke through, it would be the late-level Sky Sovereign level. For a demon tree, it was a very astonishing level. Feng Qiuzun had specially rushed over. One of the reasons was probably to take away the golden tree. Yes, it is breaking through, then we will stay here to protect it. Feng Qiuzun said apologetically. It's fine, you're just worried that other cultivators will come. At that time they might attack it. Tianyun knew what she was thinking. When it was breaking through, it was at its weakest, and it was easy for others to subdue it. Yes, I don't know when those people will come. Just in case, I will stay here to protect it. I came here to take some important things. The rest of the treasures can be given to you. Feng Qiuzun said, as for some special things, some of them are not something I can obtain. It will all depend on our luck. Feng Qiuzun was not invincible. Although she was related to the owner of this place, it did not mean that it could be opened just for her. Therefore, there were still some things that she couldn't take away. Tianyun nodded and didn't insist. He sat down on the side and waited for the golden tree to break through. The golden tree's breakthrough looked rather slow, but it did not require any heavenly tribulation. As long as it absorbed enough energy to replenish its energy, it would be able to successfully break through. Therefore, all that was needed was time and nothing else. Then, the two of them sat down to meditate to protect the golden tree. As time passed, the light emitted by the golden tree became purer and purer. Time passed quickly, and the golden tree behind him grew stronger and stronger. From the looks of it, he would be able to make a breakthrough soon. Almost there, I need a little more time to break through. Feng Qiuzun looked at the golden tree behind him, and could roughly sense it. Yes, I still need a little more time. Tianyun nodded. He could also feel that the golden tree's condition had already entered the final stage. All the leaves on the golden tree began to fall, and then they quickly turned into piles of energy and merged into the ground. They once again turned into rich nutrients to provide him with energy. If he thought that the transformed leaves could be taken away by them, then he was too naive. The demon tree's breakthrough still required more energy. His own leaves were equivalent to energy reserves, and they would fall when he broke through, so that he could absorb them to break through. This is the golden tree. That's great, I didn't think that there would be a golden tree here. It's indeed not bad. It's said that the golden tree's effects are not bad. If we bring it back to our faction and plant it, it will greatly increase the effect of nurturing disciples. Just this golden tree alone is worth all the effort we put in to come here. Tianyun looked up. Apart from Empyrean Tongwu and Empyrean Wuxing, who else could it be from the entrance? They brought a group of powerhouses in. There were more than a dozen Empyreans, and the lowest cultivation base was a lower-level Empyrean. They immediately surrounded the place. Empyrean Feng Qiu's expression changed. What she was worried about had finally come. These people would definitely plunder everything. They would not let anything go. Yo, looks like it's still breaking through. Take the chance to subdue it. If we wait for it to break through, it will be much more difficult to subdue it. Empyrean Wuxing's eyes lit up when he saw the golden tree breaking through. You dare. Empyrean Feng Qiu stood up and looked at them coldly. Light was released from her body, and it turned into a cyclone that circulated beside her. When Empyrean Feng Qiu erupted, she did not have the slightest bit of her usual friendliness. She was still filled with killing intent. Why wouldn't we dare? With just the two of you. Empyrean Wishing and the others laughed disdainfully. They felt that Yi Tianyun's side was so laughable. The two of them wanted to protect the golden tree. That's right. Do you think you can overturn the heavens? Perhaps we might be afraid of you outside, but what about here? Who will know about you? If we kill you, no one will know that we did it. Empyrean Tong Wu's eyes were filled with viciousness. He looked her up and down and sneered, "Be sensible and choose to surrender. Sign an oath with me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless." Empyrean Tong Wu's aura directly exploded. Killing intent surged over. It was obvious that he wanted to kill Empyrean Feng Qiu. If he couldn't get it, then he would destroy it. If it was obtained by other forces, it would be a future trouble. Empyrean Feng Qiu looked at them coldly. It seemed that these people had nothing to fear. They were no longer worried about her influence here. There were no other forces here, so she was naturally not afraid of being found out. "You, boy. You dare to ruin my plans. Later, watch as I peel off your skin layer by layer. I'll let you know what you should do and what you shouldn't do." Empyrean Tong Wu looked at him fiercely, his eyes filled with killing intent. The one he wanted to deal with the most now was still Yi Tianyun. He had ruined his plans before. How could he let him go? "It seems that I've harmed you." Empyrean Feng Qiu shook her head and smiled bitterly. Facing so many Empyreans, even if she could escape, Yi Tianyun could not. Chapter 1479. Yi Tianyun wasn't worried about this at all. He was still relaxed. Looking at the many Empyreans surrounding them, he smiled in satisfaction. "Oh, it seems like you think that it's just the two of us." Yi Tianyun smiled lightly. "What, you have helpers?" Empyrean Tungwu turned his head and looked to the side. He didn't see any cultivators. "Did you rush over here?" "But so what? There are a lot of great arrays here. Our people have spent a lot of effort to break them one by one. Even if you have helpers, it will be a matter of time before you can do it." Empyrean Tungwu was right. They all knew that it was extremely difficult along the way. It took a lot of time to crack the arrays one by one. Moreover, they had several divine carver masters to be able to do it so quickly. If it were other cultivators, it would be hard to say. But no matter what, it would take several months to reach here. Therefore, he didn't need to worry about anything. By the time they rushed over, Yi Tianyun and the others would have already been subdued. "Of course not." Yi Tianyun waved his hand. Empyrean Yu Qian and the others came out. Suddenly, there were 4 Empyreans. The sudden change stunned them. They didn't expect that someone would be willing to put others in their inner world. Empyrean Tungwu and the others didn't dare to do so. Even their own subordinates wouldn't be allowed to enter their inner world. Now, a divine lord had placed 4 Empyreans in his inner world. It was really amazing. Let alone Empyrean Tungwu, even Empyrean Feng Qiu was shocked. She really didn't think that Yi Tianyun would bring 4 Empyreans. "You are Empyrean Li." At this time, an Empyrean next to him immediately recognized Empyrean Li. The vast divine sect had a bit of fame. Some of their Empyreans were famous. For example, Empyrean Li was very powerful. Since he was often outside, it was normal for him to have a bit of fame. "Yes, it's me." Empyrean Li and the others already knew the details of the situation. They also knew that the golden tree behind them was breaking through. "So, you are all disciples of the vast divine sect?" The Empyrean on the side glanced around and roughly saw some things. These people were disciples of the vast divine sect. A disciple of the vastness god sect? Heavenly Venerable Tungwu looked ahead and sneered. "I remember now. I heard that the new force is from the vast divine sect. How bold of you to try and seize power from us. I remember now as well. I've always heard that the new faction is impossible to break through, and it seems that the heavens are looking out for them. They've even created a barrier that we can't break through. We've lost so many powerhouses, we have to settle this debt. Nearby, Empyrean Wise Star's eyes turned cold and his resentment soared. When they thought of this matter, they became angry. Perhaps they didn't go there personally, but when they heard that there was a problem with their own forces, they were definitely furious. Speaking of which, your master seems to have returned to the heavenly cultivation god realm. Celestial Lord Tungwu looked at them and sneered. Your status seems to have risen. You might be a little fearful outside, but who would know if I killed you here? Yes. The vast divine sect should have been eliminated long ago. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant then. Only now did Empyrean Fertile Star and Empyrean Tungwu truly join forces. This made them even angrier. This time, they wanted to silence all of them, exterminate all of them. Each and every one of them billowed with rage, fiery light shooting out from their eyes, wanting to exterminate them. Looks like summoning people out not only did it not make them afraid, it aroused their killing intent even stronger instead. This was actually all within the scope of Yi Tianyun's expectations. But no matter what, they had to be released. Fighting together, they could resist a portion of the powerhouses. There were 5 upper-level Empyreans present, 8 or 9 middle-level Empyreans, and several lower-level Empyreans too. Adding up, the number was not small. On Yi Tianyun's side, including Empyrean Feng Qiu, there were only 6. Among them, there were only 3 upper-level Empyrean level. Compared to that side, the disparity was still rather obvious. As for the middle-level Empyrean side, the disparity was even greater. It was simply the level of suffering a crushing defeat. Especially in their view, Yi Tianyun was overlooked even more. How strong was a divine lord? This meant that there were only 4 who could fight. Yi Tianyun was eliminated from the start, so how could he have any lethality? If you want to destroy our vast divine sect, let's see if you have the ability to do so. Yi Tianyun's gaze swept across them, and a star god's spear quickly appeared in his hand, preparing for battle. Whether or not I can destroy your vast divine sect is another matter, but to destroy you all, it is more than enough. Empyrean Tongwu looked at him coldly and said, especially you, killing you is as simple as stepping on an ant. Go. Don't talk nonsense with them, if this continues, that golden tree will succeed in breaking through. Empyrean Wuxing had already prepared everything. Under the command, he immediately pounced forward. Nearly 20 Empyreans surrounded them, their goal was to first destroy Yi Tianyun and the others, then capture Empyrean Feng Qiu alive. Go! Empyrean Yuqian and the others rushed forward without hesitation, summoning their strongest Empyrean spiritual treasures to fight the other side. Yi Tianyun did not move, squatting beside the golden tree, seemingly hiding behind it and not counterattacking, but in fact, he was protecting the golden tree. Now was the golden tree's weakest moment. If they forcibly collected it, they could basically suppress and collect it. After all, the energy had been used for breaking through, and there was basically no power to counterattack. Capture that kid for me. Don't even think about hiding behind it. Empyrean Tongwu gestured for his subordinates to capture Yi Tianyun. He also wanted to capture him alive. He had to kill Yi Tianyun with his own hands. If he was killed by others, he would not be able to vent his anger. Very quickly, 2 middle-level Empyreans came over, wanting to capture Yi Tianyun alive. In their opinion, sending 2 middle-level Empyreans was enough to capture Yi Tianyun. Originally, they wanted to send 1, but they were afraid that something unexpected would happen, so they directly sent 2. Empyrean Yuqian and the others glanced over, then ignored them. But Empyrean Feng Qiu on the side shouted anxiously, they sent people to capture Lord Tianyun, hurry back and protect him. Or keep him in the inner world. Don't worry, junior brother Tianyun will be fine. Empyrean Yuqian and the others smiled faintly, as if they did not care at all. Chapter 1480. Venerable Feng Qiu did not trust Yi Tianyun as much as Celestial Lord Yuqian and the others. No matter what, it was her fault that Tianyun caused this situation. When she wanted to turn around to help, Celestial Lord Tongwu quickly intercepted her, waving two scythes and slashing towards her. The move was not fatal, but if she was hit, she would definitely be injured. Venerable Feng Qiu could only flick two fingers. A wooden zither suddenly appeared in the void, and with a flick, it turned into countless light waves that spread forward. Dong! The two attacked each other once, and then immediately bounced back, no one gaining the upper hand. Want to save someone, do you think it's possible? Celestial Lord Tongwu smiled coldly. Capture him, first cripple his arms and legs for me. Let Miss Feng Qiu see what the consequences of rejecting me are. The two celestial lords' gazes turned cold, a long sword quickly appeared in their hands, preparing to cut off Tianyun's arms and legs. Venerable Feng Qiu panicked, hurriedly shouting, "He has nothing to do with me, don't hurt the innocent." "It has nothing to do with you, but it has to do with me." Celestial Lord Tongwu said angrily, "Previously, he even messed up my plans, my key is definitely real, making me lose all face. If I don't kill him, I can't quell my anger." As they spoke, the two middle-level celestial lords had already surrounded them. "Kid, we only want your arms and legs, if you move, you might lose your head." One of the middle-level celestial lords waved his long sword lightly, wanting to cut off Tianyun's arms and legs. Tianyun's expression was indifferent, not affected in the slightest, as if what he was about to cut was not his arms and legs. "That's right, just like this, don't move." When they saw that Tianyun did not move, they were overjoyed. They were really afraid that Tianyun would act recklessly, and if they were not careful, they would really cut him into two. Venerable Feng Qiu became more and more anxious, wanting to charge through Celestial Lord Tongwu's defense several times, but to no avail. Celestial Lord Tongwu was not weak, his cultivation was the same as hers, also at the genius level. Maybe Venerable Feng Qiu was a little stronger, but looking at the current situation, it would be impossible to break through in a short time. Don't be delusional. Just watch from here. Celestial Venerable Tongwu laughed loudly, his laughter full of carefree and gloomy coldness. He was finally ready to see Tianyun being severely punished, and he was even able to hear Tianyun's miserable screams. These were all things that made him feel incomparably carefree. Heavenly Venerate Yu Qian and the others couldn't even be bothered to look over. Instead, they focused on fighting the others. They would be able to defend this place for a while. It was rather difficult to gain the upper hand in a short period of time. There was a huge disparity in their overall strength to begin with, so it was really impossible to kill them instantly. Empyrean Yu Qian could crush a middle-level Empyrean, but with other upper-level Empyreans intercepting her, she had no way of breaking through their defenses. Looks like that's the only way. Venerable Feng Qiu bit her lips, a white light flashed in her eyes, as though she was prepared to fight with her life on the line. Everything had started because of her, so she would be responsible for it. Just as she was about to explode, Tianyun suddenly disappeared. A cold light pierced through a middle-level Empyrean, followed by a multicolored pillar of light that erupted from the middle-level Empyrean's body. He didn't even have time to scream before he turned into a pile of blood mist. A middle-level Empyrean, dead. The other middle-level Empyrean did not even have time to react. By the time he reacted, it was already too late. This cold light similarly pierced through. By the time he summoned an even stronger Empyrean spirit treasure, the stellar divine spear was like a comet, piercing through his body and causing a violent explosion. The second middle-level Empyrean, dead. After the two Empyreans died, they quickly turned into piles of experience that surged over, filling up his experience. The feeling of a middle-level Empyrean is different, I have more experience. Tianyun felt very satisfied. Holding the stellar divine spear, he looked over and said indifferently, "Just two middle-level Empyreans? This isn't even enough for me to warm up, can you send a little more?" The pupils of Empyrean Tongwu and the rest constricted, completely frightened by this scene. Two middle-level Empyreans were instantly killed just like that. And it was even killed by a divine lord in an instant. Didn't they see wrongly? Empyrean Feng Qiu was similarly dumbfounded. The power that she wanted to erupt rapidly disappeared, unable to erupt. How is this possible? Is this still a divine lord? Empyrean Tong Wu flew into a rage and said, "Kill him for me, this kid must be hiding his strength." To be able to easily kill 2 middle-level Empyreans, he was definitely not a divine lord, but deliberately hiding his strength, which was why he was thought to be a divine lord. In reality, he was just pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, taking advantage of their carelessness to launch a ruthless sneak attack and annihilate them. Under the command, there were immediately 4 middle-level Empyreans and 1 upper-level Empyrean who rushed over to Yi Tianyun's side, no longer fighting with Empyrean Longming's side. This greatly reduced the pressure on Empyrean Longming and Empyrean CC. If this continued, they definitely wouldn't be able to hold on. 5 Empyreans surrounded him. How was this just a simple warm-up? They simply wanted to crush him. This is getting a little interesting. Yi Tianyun saw them rushing over. It was about time to raise his cultivation. Facing so many Empyrean powerhouses, if he didn't raise his cultivation, he really wouldn't be able to deal with them. He wasn't a god. Even if he had the word god, it didn't mean that he was an omnipotent god. Level up. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to level 8 God Lord. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to level 9 God Lord. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to level 9 God Lord. After winning 3 levels in a row, his experience was immediately sucked dry. He was still a long way from reaching Empyrean level. Breaking through from level 9 God Lord to Empyrean required a lot of experience. It was comparable to all the experience of level 1 God Lord and level 9 God Lord combined. After leveling up, his aura suddenly surged, and his eyes were filled with a blazing fighting spirit. Die, kid! An upper-level Empyrean rushed over, wanting to use the most violent method to smash Yi Tianyun into a meat patty. This time, they weren't careless anymore. Instead, they treated Yi Tianyun as a late-stage middle-level Empyrean or an upper-level Empyrean. If he didn't have this cultivation, how could he instantly kill a middle-level Empyrean? No matter how careless they were, a sneak attack from a lower cultivation would be extremely slow, enough for an Empyrean to react. Chapter 1481. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly at the upper-level heavenly venerate that was the first to rush over. His figure flickered as he entered the void, completely disappearing from the upper-level heavenly venerate's line of sight. Void power. The upper-level Empyrean was greatly shocked. He never thought that there would be a human who could use the power of the void. Just as he was about to quickly search for Yi Tianyun's figure, a figure had already appeared behind him, brandishing a long spear as it pierced downwards. Puchi. With a single spear strike, another middle-level heavenly venerable was instantly killed. Then, he continued to sweep through the crowd. In just a few short spear strikes, 3 middle-level Empyreans were instantly killed. The 4 middle-level heavenly venerates that had been sent out had been killed almost instantly. This level of sharpness was much stronger than before. This was the might of increasing one's cultivation. After increasing one's base value and activating Berserk damage mode, the damage would be greatly increased. Especially after the increase in his base value, the power of his bloodline would far exceed his previous level. Awesome! Yi Tianyun felt extremely carefree. Even if he could kill a middle-level Empyrean before, it definitely wouldn't be as easy as it was now. With the breakthrough of the Divine Dragon and Phoenix Meridians, its power was even more terrifying. It could be said that he could sweep through all middle-level Empyreans. Although he didn't dare to say that he could defeat high-level Empyreans, middle-level Empyreans didn't feel any pressure at all. He could kill them as easily as chopping vegetables. The group of people was shocked. Why did it feel like he was even stronger than before? The key thing was that he was still giving off the cultivation of a divine monarch. But this Sir God's cultivation seemed to have increased. That's impossible. Is he really a Sir God? Their eyes were about to pop out. Mid-level Empyreans were like cabbages, easily harvested. Unless it was an upper-level Empyrean, and a very powerful one at that, there was no way to easily harvest it. Of course, if it was a speed-type upper-level heavenly venerate, he could also easily kill them. The gap in cultivation was very difficult to make up for. But now, what Yi Tianyun displayed was completely different. He was a divine sovereign, yet he could instantly kill a middle-level heavenly venerable. However, all of this was thanks to his bloodline, as well as his various abilities. When stacked together, it had a different effect. The power of the void allowed him to come and go without a trace. Coupled with his astonishing speed, especially after entering the void, he could directly teleport. Who could catch him? Unless it was someone with an extremely powerful cultivation or someone with an extremely special ability, it was impossible to catch him. Under this sneak attack, killing this middle-level Empyrean was not a difficult matter at all. Like I said, there's no need to worry about little junior brother. Sword C Heavenly Venerable and the rest laughed loudly and continued to slash. Compared to Yi Tianyun, they were having a hard time. Their strength was outstanding, but they could not reach the level that Yi Tianyun had reached. Most importantly, his speed was much slower than Yi Tianyun's. Their eyes could barely keep up. His speed was astonishing, and his attack power was formidable. With the combination of these two, he was absolutely invincible. Of course, this was when facing middle-level Empyreans. It would not be so easy for upper-level Empyreans. It was precisely because of this that Yi Tianyun would prioritize dealing with middle-level Empyreans. As for upper-level Empyreans, he could only slowly deal with them. Empyrean Feng Qiu was really shocked from start to finish. No wonder Sword C Heavenly Venerable and the rest said not to worry. She thought that they were talking nonsense. Looking at it now, they really did not need to worry. It was simply heaven-defying. Not talking about anything else, there was no pressure at all to protect herself. Coming and going without a trace. No wonder he could come here alone. Turns out that he has some ability. But can a divine sovereign be that strong? It was her first time seeing such a powerful divine sovereign. She had never seen one before. It should be said that powerful divine sovereigns, she had actually seen them before. At most, she could deal with them when facing low-level Empyreans. If she went all out, she might even be able to kill them. Especially when they were careless and ambushed them. This way, the success rate was the highest. But that was barely being able to kill them. Even if she could crush them, she could only crush low-level early-level Empyrean, or fight with middle-level Empyrean for a while. As for people like Yi Tianyun, who could crush middle-level Empyreans, she really had never seen one before. To be able to do this, he was definitely a super genius, and a peerless kind. This kid. Empyrean Tong Wu was about to go crazy. Another 4 Empyreans were instantly killed. It made him so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. 1 Empyrean killed meant 1 less. The price needed to nurture an Empyrean was extremely high. Not to mention middle-level Empyreans, even low-level Empyreans were extremely expensive. Now that 4 middle-level Empyreans were dead, it was simply too painful. Empyrean Wuxing was also dumbfounded. He thought that he could easily suppress them. Now it seemed that the one who posed the greatest threat was still a divine sovereign. What's going on? This kid is a little strange. Empyrean Wuxing frowned, and the powerhouses next to him became vigilant, especially those middle-level Empyreans. They even piled together so that they could take care of each other. The attacks against Empyrean CC and the others immediately slowed down, allowing Empyrean CC and the others to catch a breather. However, it was still not ideal. They had long been injured. Facing so many Empyreans, how could they not be injured? They weren't Yi Tianyun. They weren't that powerful. Fortunately, Empyrean Longming was tough enough. Otherwise, Empyrean CCC would have been seriously injured. Yi Tianyun glanced ahead and didn't stop. His figure flashed again, and he entered the void. When he entered the void, the group of Empyreans tensed up. Only the upper-level Empyreans were in a slightly better situation. They similarly locked down all the space, especially the surroundings around them. Yi Tianyun definitely entered the void to attack them. He couldn't possibly escape, right? Hence, the upper-level Empyreans were all staring at the vicinity of middle-level Empyreans. They even closed in on Empyrean CC, wanting to force Yi Tianyun out. Just as their nerves were stretched taut to the extreme, a bright light suddenly appeared behind one of the upper-level Empyreans. All of the power instantly pierced out. Regardless of whether it was the bloodline or the 5 elements core, or even the crazy damage mode, all of it erupted. Raising the power to the maximum, the combat strength directly exploded. Boom! This attack fiercely blasted on the upper-level Empyrean. This upper-level Empyrean didn't even react in time. He thought that Yi Tianyun would sneak attack a middle-level Empyrean, just like before. Who knew that Yi Tianyun didn't play by the rules and directly picked an upper-level Empyrean who was too relaxed against him to attack? The moment he attacked, the effect immediately appeared. Under the fierce attack, this upper-level Empyrean was directly blasted into pieces, nearly dying. Run, run! This upper-level Empyrean's head rapidly fled to the side. How could he still dare to stay here? He was considered lucky. With all kinds of protection for his head, he could escape this calamity. But before he ran far, a spear pierced down again, nailing this head in the void. Chapter 1482. This time, Yi Tianyun did not play cards according to the routine, directly choosing an upper-level Empyrean with the least vigilance, and directly attacking with the strongest power. An upper-level Empyrean was an upper-level Empyrean. Under such circumstances, he could still escape with his head and soul. If not for Yi Tianyun's sharp eyes and quick hands, he would really have successfully escaped. An upper-level Empyrean, not bad. Yi Tianyun felt the experience constantly pouring in, making him feel very satisfied. The experience of an upper-level Empyrean was absolutely rich, and it was the explosive kind. It was just that facing breaking through to the Empyrean level, the required experience was still quite a bit lacking. The original 5 upper-level Empyreans became 4 now. The most difficult to die, the most precious upper-level Empyreans, was gone just like that, making people's hearts ache terribly. Grooming an upper-level Empyrean was as difficult as grooming 10 middle-level Empyreans. This was just a numerical measure. In reality, it far exceeded the difficulty of grooming 10 middle-level Empyreans. The total resources seemed so much, but whether it could succeed or not was another matter. Hence, the death of an upper-level Empyrean immediately made Empyrean Tongwu's eyes turn red. He did not expect that in order to kill a divine lord, so many Empyreans were sacrificed, even upper-level Empyreans were sacrificed. Help me hold back these upper-level Empyreans, leave the rest to us. Yi Tianyun tore the void again, his body stepping into the void, preparing to continue the slaughter. This time, he was targeting those middle-level Empyrean powerhouses. There were still 4 upper-level Empyreans left. Empyrean Feng Qiu and the rest resisting a little was still no problem. After all, the difference now was only 1 upper-level Empyrean, the pressure naturally would not be too great. On the contrary, there were still quite a few middle-level Empyreans. As long as all the middle-level Empyreans and lower-level Empyreans were wiped out, it would basically be considered settled. Even if they could not kill Empyrean Huaxing and the rest, at least they would not pose too much of a threat to this side. Surround them, surround them. Empyrean Huaxing and Empyrean Tongwu and the rest all had red eyes, hurriedly sending voice transmissions to their companions, making them surround them and form an Empyrean Grand Formation. In an instant, they surrounded them, forming 2 Empyrean Grand Formations, each Grand Formation different. Their factions were different to begin with, so the joint formation they used would naturally be different. After he used it, his power skyrocketed, reaching the peak in an instant. Previously, They felt that they had the advantage in numbers, so they didn't have to worry about this problem at all. Thus, they immediately used such powerful moves. At the same time, this kind of move also had a disadvantage, which was that it was not very flexible. Now that he had no choice but to use it, the powerful formation quickly locked down the area, locking down all the details. As long as Yi Tianyun appeared from any direction, he would immediately be attacked. The combined might of a middle-level Empyrean was astonishing. It was definitely a powerful attack that surpassed that of an upper-level Empyrean. The most important thing was that he could defend everything. At the very least, he wouldn't be as passive as he would be if he acted alone. When he comes out, we'll seal off the space here so that he can't even enter the void. When the time comes, you can launch a fierce attack. The middle-level heavenly venerables of the myriad heaven sacred realm communicated with the sacred peak sacred realm heavenly venerables and made a detailed plan. One grand formation was mainly for sealing, while the other was mainly for attacking. When the two joined forces, they could definitely seal off Yi Tianyun. Heavenly Venerable Sword C and the others were left to the side, and no one paid attention to them. Now that everyone was focused on dealing with Yi Tianyun, who would care about them? Heavenly Venerable Sword C and the others could finally heave a sigh of relief. After taking a few recovery pills for themselves, they came to the side and watched closely. Everyone is focused on little junior brother. I hope there won't be any problems. Heavenly Venerable Sword C and the others shook their heads and smiled bitterly. They couldn't help much when they came out. It was already good enough that they could resist. Wanting to kill an Empyrean of the same level was still a little difficult for them. Especially when surrounded by so many Empyreans, it was already amazing to not be seriously injured, let alone easily kill them. They were already outstanding for being able to maintain it for so long. To be able to kill their way out of the encirclement of thousands of troops and horses, and even make a round and return after killing many powerhouses, this was ultimately the minority among the minority. Every one of them was a top-notch combination. By the time they were ready, they didn't find any trace of Yi Tianyun, as if he had completely evaporated. Strange, where is he? These Empyreans were puzzled. They had prepared for so long, but they still didn't attack. If he doesn't come out, let's kill their companions first and see if he comes out or not. At this time, Empyrean Tungwu and the others shouted, indicating for them to attack Heavenly Venerable Sword C and kill them first. Then, they would see if they could force Yi Tianyun out. Immediately after, they locked onto Heavenly Venerate Sword C and Heavenly Venerate Dragon Cry. Instantly, one of the arrays sealed the space around Heavenly Venerate Sword C and Heavenly Venerate Dragon Cry. Their surroundings were blocked by a transparent wall, and they were immediately sealed in a small region. This was their power. When they joined forces, their power was explosive, far exceeding their individual power. The faces of Heavenly Venerable Sword C and the others sank, and they all prepared to resist. There was no fear in their eyes. At most, they would die. There was nothing to worry about. This time, I don't believe how long you can hide. Celestial Venerable Tungwu attacked while paying attention to the situation over there. He was simply attacking, and did not have the heart to fight at all. In other words, he was just holding Feng Qiuzun back, and not letting her run away. Despicable. Venerable Feng Qiu said coldly. You dare to call me despicable? I don't know who's the most despicable one. That kid hid his strength and is even hiding now. He's much more despicable than me. Celestial Venerable Tungwu turned his head and looked over. Suddenly, a cold light pierced through and went straight for Huang Long. Heavenly Venerable Tungwu was so frightened that his heart stopped beating. He hurriedly waved the scythes in his hands and swung them behind him. Boom! Because it was too sudden, Heavenly Venerate Bronze Marshal was blasted away and smashed into the ground. Rings of light radiated from his body. It was clear that he had an Empyrean spirit treasure on him. He also had other Empyrean-level treasures protecting his body. Otherwise, he would have been severely injured. Now, he was only slightly injured. It was not a big deal. Venerable Feng Qiu, join forces with me to kill him. The one who sneak attacked Heavenly Venerable Tongwu was none other than Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun did not go and kill those upper-level Empyreans. Instead, he turned his gaze towards Heavenly Venerable Tongwu. This move was to rescue the besieged. He ignored the powerhouses of the Grand Formation and directly killed Heavenly Venerable Tongwu. Let's see how he would give the order. He did not believe that the others would not come to save the situation. All right. The xylophone in Venerable Feng Qiu's hands began to play rapidly. Rings of light blades quickly surrounded him. Every move was filled with killing intent. Chapter 1483. Heavenly Venerable Tongwu was attacked from both sides. Yi Tianyun's every move was deadly, and Venerable Feng Qiu's light blades were also constantly attacking Heavenly Venerable Tongwu. She did not have the demeanor of a saintess at all. Instead, she had become a goddess of death. Under the double attack, Heavenly Venerable Tongwu fell into a dangerous situation all of a sudden. If not for his strong defense, he would really have been decapitated. Are you so afraid of death? Your whole body is covered in defensive equipment. What a coward, just like a turtle. Yi Tianyun constantly waved the Star Divine Spear at the side. Each move was deadly, and each move was filled with vast power. Under the fierce smashing of the spear, the halo of light emitted from Heavenly Venerable Tongwu's body would become a little dimmer. If this were to continue, no matter how sturdy the defense was, it would be destroyed. Especially Venerable Feng Qiu's power, which was also extremely shocking. Countless light blades bombarded over, rubbing against the shield and making a very ear-piercing, creaking sound. Each move could leave a deep mark on it. This time, Heavenly Venerable Feng Qiu was really angry. Previously, because she was worried about Yi Tianyun, she did not perform very well. Now it was different. She was determined to kill Heavenly Venerable Tongwu, and her power naturally rose greatly. You dare to call me a turtle? Heavenly Venerable Tongwu almost exploded in anger. He felt that Yi Tianyun was simply too much, but he had no way to fight back. Two powerful attacks were constantly bombarding outside. How could he resist? If he resisted even a little, he would probably lose an arm or a leg. Especially Yi Tianyun's ruthlessness, which was far beyond his imagination. His moves were not limited to this. He did have a lot of defensive equipment, but it did not mean that he was a coward. He just wanted to be safer, no matter what. In the eyes of others, he was indeed a coward who always chose to defend and had no way to resist. In fact, it was not that he did not want to resist, but that he had no way to resist. The suppression of power forced him to retreat again and again. Pass, come and help. Force them to retreat. Heavenly Venerable Tongwu shouted, motioning for his companions to come and save him. Immediately, those Heavenly Venerables who wanted to kill Heavenly Venerable Sword C flew over to save Heavenly Venerable Tongwu. Heavenly Venerable Sword C and the others were once again abandoned and no longer attacked. This meant that Yi Tianyun's plan was a success. This was the effect he wanted. First, he killed Heavenly Venerable Tongwu. Under their fierce attack, they would definitely send help. Under their fierce attack, they would definitely send help. Empyrean Wise Star had an ugly look on his face as he signaled his companions to go and help. They were all in the same boat now, and if Empyrean Martial Dragon's side was destroyed, they wouldn't be any better off. The two batches of Empyreans rushed over. Only when the two of them cooperated would they be able to display the strongest effect. One to block and the other to attack. This was the best. Let's see how you escape this time. Celestial Venerable Tongwu persisted, waiting for help to arrive. If he had been Tian Wu and Tian Heavens, he would not have been, Tian Wu would be able. If he had not been careless, he would have been able to suppress Yi Tianyun and prevent him from escaping. Although he could enter the void at will, if the space was sealed or under fierce attack, he would not be able to enter easily. When the void was unstable, he would not be able to enter. Yi Tianyun did not say a word. He was still waving his star god spear crazily, smashing down again and again, trying to break through the defense. Venerable Feng Qiu was equally anxious. If this continued, they could only choose to give up when reinforcements came. This defense is too strong. Stay away, let me subdue him. Venerable Feng Qiu transmitted, motioning for Yi Tianyun to move to the side. You're going all out. Yi Tianyun transmitted back. Yes, I can only go all out. After I'm done, I will be unable to move for a short period of time. I hope you can protect me then. Whether it's you or Little Gold, you cannot be hurt by them. Venerable Feng Qiu was about to erupt this time. She was not willing to erupt before mainly because the side effects were too strong. But if she did not erupt now, what awaited them was death. She could only choose to erupt. Killing these upper-level Empyreans first, the rest would be easier to deal with. There's no need to be like this. Don't worry, nothing will happen. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes as he looked at the group of Empyreans rushing over, motioning for Venerable Feng Qiu not to be too rash. Venerable Feng Qiu was startled. Why was Yi Tianyun telling her not to erupt at this critical juncture? Could it be that Yi Tianyun had his own countermeasures? In the blink of an eye, two large groups of Empyreans had already surrounded them. Venerable Feng Qiu saw that it was already too late. She was prepared to ignore Yi Tianyun's persuasion and was about to erupt with her strongest power. Suddenly, Yi Tianyun turned and pounced towards a group of Empyreans, as if he was suicidal. He actually delivered himself to our doorstep, truly overestimating himself. They were overjoyed in their hearts. Although Yi Tianyun's strength was very strong, with two large groups of powerhouses gathered together, the effect would be different. If they were combined, even a middle-stage upper-level Empyrean could be suppressed. Seal. One of the groups of Empyreans immediately chose to seal the space around Yi Tianyun. This time, he didn't even have a chance to escape. Since space was sealed, it was naturally impossible to escape. Especially the power of the void, it was sealed in a small region. In this state, it was basically unable to display its previous effects, which meant that the power of the void had lost its effectiveness. Attack! At this time, another group of Empyreans started to attack Yi Tianyun's side. When it was sealed, it was equivalent to catching a turtle in a jar. At this time, Yi Tianyun revealed a trace of a cold smile. I've been waiting for this moment. The instant they attacked, Yi Tianyun suddenly vanished from where he was. He directly used instant transmission and flashed to the center of their great array formation. With a sweep of his spear, he instantly killed two middle-level Empyreans. After the two middle-level Empyreans were instantly killed, the balance of the great array formation was instantly destroyed. The energy that erupted immediately flowed back, directly exploding within their bodies. Boom! With a loud bang, their explosive attacks were all rebounded back to them. One by one, they were blasted away, falling from the sky. If they weren't dead, they were injured. In an instant, the powerhouses of the Great Array formation were disintegrated. It was extremely easy. This was the effect that Yi Tianyun wanted. It was too troublesome to deal with them one by one. Dealing with them all in one go was the easiest and effortless way. As for the seal, it was indeed effective against his power of the void and could seal it. But don't forget, his true escape or sneak attack ability was instant transmission. Chapter 1484. Ding! Successfully killed a middle-level heavenly venerate. Obtained experience. Ding! Successfully killed a middle-level heavenly venerate. Obtained experience. Piles of experience kept pouring in. When the entire array was blown up, many cultivators still died. The attack that was originally enough to kill an upper-level heavenly venerate turned into an explosion inside the body. One could imagine how amazing the effect was. Killing a large group in one go, even if some didn't die, they were seriously injured and unable to move. This was the drawback of the joint array formation. Once there was an imbalance, it might lead to a backlash. The power of the backlash was quite terrifying. It might destroy a group, or it might sacrifice only one. Lee Tianyun was waiting for the moment when their attacks condensed to the strongest and then fiercely counterattacked, resulting in the greatest effect. He had been waiting for this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have attacked Heavenly Venerate Tungwu first. He first numbed their nerves and made them think that it was to attack Heavenly Venerate Tungwu. What he really wanted to deal with was this group of Heavenly Venerates. After killing them, a large number of Heavenly Venerates would be gone, and more than half of Heavenly Venerate Tongwu's subordinates would be gone. One could imagine how heartbroken that kind of feeling was. After paying such a price, it vanished into thin air just like that. Everything was gone. When Heavenly Venerate Tungwu saw the situation over here, he was stunned. His subordinates were all gone. Lee Tianyun wouldn't be stunned like them. His figure flashed, and he came to the center of another group of Heavenly Venerates and directly swept over. They had also been maintaining the sealing array all along. Hence, after scattering them, it would similarly cause a backlash. Hurry, quickly disperse. Heavenly Venerate Fertile Star roared, indicating for his companions to quickly disperse. But everything was too late. Lee Tianyun's speed was faster than his shouting. It was too funny. The stellar divine spear directly swept over the center of the array. Boom! Boom! This array was also scattered by one move, and each and every one of them suffered a serious backlash. However, their situation was far better than the other group of powerhouses. At most, they suffered some injuries. They weren't on the verge of death or dead. However, their combat power was basically gone, and they were all seriously injured. The power needed to condense the sealing area was similarly not low. Hence, the situation was not too ideal. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lee Tianyun quickly followed up with another shot. Basically, he killed one person with one shot. They couldn't even hide or escape. They were like targets standing there, waiting for him to attack. At this time, Heavenly Paragon Jian Si and the rest were not idle at all. They had already rushed over to help Lee Tianyun kill these Heavenly Paragons. Similarly, they were able to kill one with a single move, and it was extremely easy. Little junior brother is too powerful. Even such a powerful formation could be easily broken. The power of the void is so strong that even the seal has no effect. It doesn't look like the power of the void, but it's our junior brother. The two of them took on the role of harvesting, and began to harvest the heavily injured ones one by one. Seeing this scene, Emperor Tong Wu and the others roared and wanted to rush over to kill Lee Tianyun. However, Emperor Yu Qian and the others erupted with formidable power and intercepted them. You're all finished. Emperor Yu Qian and the rest looked coldly at Emperor Tong Wu and the rest. Now, there were only a few upper Empyreans left. Although they were similarly not easy to deal with, in the situation where there were no other obstacles, they at least did not need to worry about their attacks. Now that their momentum was lost, unless they fought desperately with each other, it was impossible for them to pose any threat. Watching Lee Tianyun and the rest harvest their subordinates one by one, their hearts twitched in pain. Not that they had any feelings, but the Empyreans that they spent so much effort to nurture were gone just like that. So many Empyreans died, causing the comprehensive level of their forces to plummet. Although celestial deities were the main combat power, Empyreans were the backbone and fresh blood. Without an endless stream of Empyreans coming up, how could celestial deities possibly appear? Go! Empyrean Wuxing did not hesitate at all, calling his other companions, turning around and fleeing. They were only left with two upper Empyreans. It was the same on Emperor Tong Wu's side. Bringing a batch of people, now there were only two left, adding up to 4 people. The upper Empyreans, who were originally the main combat power, did not have any use here instead. It really made people feel ironic. Emperor Wuxing was straightforward, fleeing without even thinking, directly leaving Emperor Tongwu here and bringing his companions to flee inside the Dragon Sovereign Temple. Even if there was no way to take revenge, they had to snatch the treasures back no matter what. This was the key. As for the golden tree, they could only give up. If they still went to snatch the golden tree greedily, there would likely be danger. Even if they could resist each other, it would be hard to attack. Unless they went all out, only then would there be a possibility of winning. But this was seriously not worthwhile. It was also very dangerous. Under the circumstances where their comprehensive strength was about the same, going all out might cause them to suffer serious injuries. Suffering serious injuries at this critical juncture was not a good thing. Disregarding how dangerous it was ahead for the time being, just the Empyreans pouring over endlessly from behind might take advantage of people's perilous state. Their forces were not weak, but if they were killed here, who would know? Hence, after Emperor Wuxing weighed the pros and cons, he could only choose to retreat first. At that time, he would find people to take revenge. Otherwise, if they clashed head-on now, the chances of victory were seriously too low. Emperor Wuxing. When Emperor Tongwu saw Emperor Wuxing retreat, his heart turned cold, and he roared angrily, "Didn't you say to resist them together?" Emperor Wuxing did not even turn his head, nor did he even bother to say more than half a sentence. He ran right away. This speed was as fast as one wanted it to be. In the blink of an eye, he left them behind. Emperor Tongwu's heart sank. When he wanted to turn around and escape at the same time, everything was too late. Emperor Yuqian and the others intercepted and surrounded them. Now, there were 3 upper-level Empyreans facing 2 upper-level Empyreans. The result was needless to say. Especially when there was a special aberration like Yi Tianyun, it was equivalent to 4 upper-level Empyreans in disguise. Those who come out to make a living will eventually have to pay. Yi Tianyun flew over at this time. Behind him was a pile of corpses. They had long been eliminated by him. Emperor Tongwu's expression was ugly. Even if he had endless anger, he also wanted to escape now. But now, how could he escape? "Even if I die, I'll drag the few of you down with me." Emperor Tongwu brandished the scythe in his hand, his eyes filled with rage and fighting spirit. Even if he died, he would die standing and not kneeling. Is that so? Then let's try. Chapter 1485. After Emperor Tongwu was eliminated, everyone finally breathed a sigh of relief. Originally, they could have stopped Emperor Tongwu and the others, but Emperor Yuqian and the others did not do so. This was because of comprehensive considerations that they chose to let Emperor Tongwu and the others go. In this way, wouldn't the remaining 2 be much easier to deal with? As for Emperor Tongwu and the others, there was no need to worry. Once they caught up, wouldn't they be able to get rid of them? They did not believe that it would be smooth sailing. Could they just take the things and leave? This was impossible. Not to mention the Dragon Sovereign Shrine, even their own shrines would have all sorts of restrictions. These places could only be opened by themselves, so it would be too naive to think that they could casually take away the treasures. After being eliminated, they all stayed beside the golden tree to rest. The battle just now had consumed a lot of energy and they needed to rest for a while. There is no need to worry about Emperor Tongwu. The grand array inside is even more dangerous. Many of their divine carver masters have died. If they want to break it, it will take a lot of effort. Emperor Feng Qiu was more familiar with the situation here and naturally knew what was going on. They nodded and quickly recovered. Emperor Feng Qiu looked at Yi Tianyun's side with a complicated gaze. No wonder Yi Tianyun had said to leave it to him. Now it seemed that it was true. She had been overthinking, thinking that Yi Tianyun was just trying to be brave. Who knew that he was really strong? This situation was far beyond her imagination and she was stunned. Yi Tianyun was meditating to recover at this time. He had also consumed a lot of energy. He was basically going all out, sweeping through everything in his way. The consumption was naturally astonishing, but he was not injured and recovering was not a big problem. While they were recovering, the golden tree next to them emitted a thick golden light. Suddenly, golden leaves began to rapidly grow back on its body. This time, the golden leaves became even more golden, even more resplendent. Very quickly, from its original bare appearance, it became lush and looked quite beautiful. In less than a moment, the entire golden tree was covered with golden leaves, covering the entire golden tree and quickly restored to its original appearance. This meant that the golden tree had completely recovered to its peak state and had successfully broken through. After it recovered, it began to tremble. Golden tree sap began to seep out of its body, and a few drops fell on their bodies. As soon as it landed on their bodies, it quickly seeped into their bodies and healed their injuries or recovered the energy they had consumed. More importantly, it had the effect of strengthening their physique. Their eyes lit up. The effect of the golden tree was indeed impressive. A little bit of the golden tree sap was enough to help them recover, and they might even be in a better state than before. Xiao Jin said, "Thank you for helping to protect him, this is your reward." Feng Qiuzun said with a smile. Even though the golden tree was in the midst of making a breakthrough, he had been paying close attention to the situation outside. In the end, it successfully resisted these people. It was intelligent and naturally knew that it had to repay them. The effect of the golden tree sap is really good. I've always heard of it, but I've never experienced it before. This time, I've experienced it. As expected of an extremely powerful demonic tree, it's equivalent to a spirit herb. Heavenly Venerable Sword Sea sighed and turned to look at Heavenly Venerable Long Ming. Senior brother Long Ming, why don't you have this effect? Heavenly Venerable Long Ming was a tree ant to begin with. They were both trees, so why was the difference so great? This is the same tree, different fates. Heavenly Venerable Long Ming glared at him and could not be bothered with him. The same spirit herb had different effects. It was naturally impossible for Heavenly Venerable Long Ming to have this kind of effect. However, his blood indeed had a healing effect. But compared to the golden tree, the difference was not just a little bit. Everyone burst into laughter when they heard their conversation. How could it be compared like this? This was like comparing cultivators with cultivators. The difference in bloodlines was astonishing. Everyone could feel this. It's about time, it's time to continue walking inside. Yi Tianyun stood up, his gaze sharp. Heavenly Venerable Fertile Star definitely could not let them off. Wanting to silence them all, then it would be their turn to silence this batch of people this time. If they were not exterminated, it would definitely be extremely troublesome in the future. Especially after going out, Heavenly Venerable Fertile Star would definitely announce to the outside that the vast divine sect wiped out Heavenly Venerable Tongwu. This way, Sacred Peak Divine Realm side would definitely come to find trouble with them. Of course, it was also possible that they would swallow this matter and not dare to find trouble with Yi Tianyun and the others. After all, the great Devas had already returned to Heaven Cultivation Divine Realm. With Heaven Cultivation Divine Realm's protection, Sacred Peak Divine Realm and Myriad Heaven Divine Realm would not dare to act recklessly. At most, they could come secretly, but it was impossible to come openly. No matter what, they had to eliminate Heavenly Venerable Fertile Star. They had to take revenge, that was their motto. One by one, they stood up and walked inside under Feng Qiuzun's lead. The golden tree shrunk into a small tree and landed on her shoulder, following them inside. Now they had another helper, and it could even help heal others. Under Feng Qiuzun's lead, they passed through the temple and entered a passage. There was nothing special in this passage. Heavenly Venerable Fertile Star had long disappeared. This area is safe, don't worry. Feng Qiuzun reminded them from the side, then led the way forward. Not every part of Dragon Sovereign Shrine had all kinds of formations. That would be too much work. Moreover, there was the golden tree blocking in front, which was already a kind of protection. Soon, they passed through the passage in front of them. After walking out, their eyes suddenly opened up. What came into view was a long staircase that led to the highest peak of the clouds. Heavenly Venerable Fertile Star was constantly climbing up, walking up step by step with great difficulty. Other than that, there was nothing around. It seemed that as long as they climbed to the top, there would be something there. This is the divine staircase that my uncle built. He likes to live in the top area. Go up this staircase, and the top is the end. Feng Qiuzun said in a low voice, above, there are all of Uncle's treasures, and also Uncle's will. Uncle's will? Yi Tianyun looked up. He could clearly feel that these staircases contained a special energy. But this was a very normal thing. Seeing how difficult it was for Heavenly Venerable Fertile Star to walk, he knew that it would not be easy to go up. It would take a lot of effort. Yes, it is Uncle's divine lightning will. If you want to pass through here, the best way is to control the power of lightning. Back then, I wanted to control it, but I couldn't. Feng Qiuzun's eyes dimmed, but she spoke of what she had done before. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.